Hello, everybody. Good morning here from sunny South Africa. We are getting started with the IFSC Africa Continental Championship. My name is Loftus Versfeld. I'll be commentating today as I have the last few days, and as I shall in the next few days. I am also emceeing, so if you hear me on the other microphone, you know that the crowd can hear. But if you hear me on this microphone, then I'm just chatting into your ear holes. We have a little bit of a delay. Apologies for that. The athletes will be coming out for the presentation shortly. For those of you that are tuning in from around the world, this is Africa. This is climbing, and this is bouldering. We've got, you can see the wall in front of me here. We've got 4 different problems. And we've got, I see women's 1 in the center there, women's 2 on the left-hand side, women's 3, and then on the left, which is a slab, on the right, which is a slab, and then women's 4 slightly overhanging. We've got a whole bunch of climbing coming up. You can see the athletes are making their way through to the transit area now. So they'll be coming out for that presentation very shortly. I'll introduce them to you. These athletes are hoping to make it through to the Olympic Games, which is what this event is all about. This is the Continent Championship. So we've had climbers from around the continent coming through to try and qualify for the title of Continental Champion. And if you're the Continental Champion, you get a ticket to Paris 2024. Sport climbing has made its way into the Olympics in a big way, and we are super psyched to be a part of that process. So the athletes that are climbing today are all from South Africa, and we are proud to host the Continental Championship. We've hosted 4 already. Once for the Youth Olympics, once for the Olympics in 2020, 2021, and once for the World Games. And this is now the 4th time we're hosting a Continental Championship. The first time we're doing it on walls outside. We're at a place called Loftus Versfeld, the biggest stadium in Pretoria. We are on one of the outside fields. There's a big rugby match happening later. If anyone's a rugby fan, you can, I guess, check that out as well. The Bulls are playing the Saracens. The Bulls are the home team of Pretoria. And they very kindly made this venue available to us for this Continental Championship and provided us with a fair bit of logistical support. Okay, let me hop onto this other mic and we're ready for the presentation. Okay, everybody, we are ready for the athlete presentation. Okay, so gather around, coming out onto the mat and presenting themselves to you. We've got the 8 female finalists. These ladies are competing in Boulder and Lead, and together those scores will add up to give them a result, a ranking, and a ticket to the Olympic Games. Okay, first climber out onto the mats. We got Jade Vocht. Then we've got Caitlin Bauer, Shanique Reinhardt, Cara Pepler, Tegan Oates, Ariana Yanata Burns, Lauren McIver, and Rowan Crone. Okay, the ladies have got some time to have a look at the different climbs. They've got 8 minutes all together. In theory, 2 minutes per climb, but they can use that 8 minutes however they want, although we don't recommend spending all 8 minutes on only one climb. That would be a little bit disadvantageous later in the competition. The climbers are only allowed to touch the start holds, which are those holds marked start or with the green tape. There's 4 pieces of tape, one for each of their limbs. They can choose the order in which their limbs go on that tape. If they want to start upside down and they're capable of starting upside down, they can, but it's usually not recommended. They're not allowed to touch any of the other holds. They're only allowed to touch those once they've started the climbs, but they're allowed to look as close as their eyes can get. Okay, so I'm back on the commentating only mic. That was me just emceeing and letting everyone know what's happening. You can see on the screen here we got Badner from the IFSC. He's the jury president, and he has really been super helpful in making this whole event come together. Brought a lot of experience and knowledge and calmness to the event. So anyone from the IFSC that's watching, when he gets back home, give him a pat on the back, maybe buy him a coffee. He's been working super hard. Our ladies are having a look at the climbs. Something that's really amazing about climbing is the way the climbers work together. And you can see there, we got Caitlin Bauer and Jade, double pigtails. Caitlin with the dark hair, Jade with the less dark hair. Just having a look, talking about a press possibly. Shanique Reinhardt also having a look, trying to figure out. These guys are doing the beta dance, which is creating neural patterns in their brains, hoping to reinforce these movement patterns and train their body to know what's happening in the future. While they're climbing, they're trying to figure these movements out. They've done lots of climbing, obviously, to have made it to this stage, but they've never climbed these climbs before. It's the first time they're seeing these climbs, and each climb represents a unique mental and physical problem that needs to be solved. So they've got 8 minutes, roughly 2 per boulder, to figure out what they're going to do, and when they go back behind the wall, they'll hopefully have a little bit of an idea in their minds of how they're going to climb. And once they come out and start climbing, you know what Mike Tyson says, everyone has a plan till they get punched in the face, but hopefully their plan has helped them prepare a little bit and given them an idea of what to expect, help them prep some tactics. We've got a whole bunch of interesting and unique movement coming up in a little while. So if you've never watched bouldering before, this is going to be a mind-blowing experience. And if you are an educated climbing consumer, you know what's happening. I don't need to tell you anything. Let me introduce you to some of these climbers. On the far left-hand side of the wall, we've got Jade. She is still in school along with Caitlin, and they are quite young. They both went to South Korea and have been climbing for quite a while. They've done a fair bit of... Is my voice coming through there? No, through there. Sorry, just had a little technical issue there. This microphone started broadcasting to the crowd, and obviously these climbers can't hear me saying they better not miss the knee bar on climb number 5. Just kidding, there is no climb number 5. That was a test to see if you're paying attention. We've got 4 problems. The first one being the most overhanging. And the 2 climbers there, Ariana and Cara, just having a look, getting up nice and close. These 2 ladies from the Western Cape, they climb and compete together quite a lot. And Rowan making her way across the screen, also from the Western Cape. And Rowan is currently ranked first after the semifinals and is, I guess, the most likely to win this competition. She's did really well in the semifinals. I'll get those results. You can check them out on the IFSC website channel. quite figuring things out as we go along, which often happens in Africa. If you're not familiar with how things work here, you may have heard of African time. You'll know that the climbing is meant to start in 1 minute, but we're still busy with the viewing. So 2 minutes 30 left on the clock for these climbers to look at the problems. So after let me tell you quickly how the scoring works. Each of these climbs is worth 25 points, and you can see the number 25 at the top of each of those climbs. The climber has to get both hands on that hold mark 25 if they want to be getting the points for these climbs. Every time they try and fall off, they lose 0.1 of a point. You know, so if they get to the top on their second try, they're going to be getting 24.9, and on their third try, 24.8, and so on. So they're hoping to get 100 points by doing each of these climbs first time. Obviously, if you do it first time, it's a little bit harder than doing it second or third time, having had a bit of time to figure out what's happening. So climbers are hoping to get to the top first time, which is called a flash. And if they flash all of these boulders, they get 100 points. And those 100 points in the bouldering portion are added to a possible 100 points in the lead portion. And lead is the stuff that happens with the rope, and they've only got one try on that. If they fall off, it's over. But on this one, they can fall off many times. Cost them a little bit in terms of points to fall off, but if falling off teaches you something about the climb and allows you to get to the top next time, then that's the way it goes. The goal is to get to the top and solve these problems. Okay, climbers, we got 50 seconds left on the clock. Get all of that information in your brains. Get prepped. And to all of the crowd, I'm sure you guys are ready. The temperature currently is looking at about 29 degrees Celsius, courtesy of YR.NO and Bevan. Thank you. A little later at 10 o'clock, it's expected to hit 31 degrees, and at 11 o'clock, 33 degrees, 34, 35, 36 at 2 p.m. Good thing we're not climbing then. Make sure you sunblock up. Okay, that's the signal for the ladies to go back behind the wall. We're going to get started pretty soon with the climbing. We just got a quick technical issue here. Garrett's doing some adjusting, and everyone's should be up to date with the updates. Yep. I do. Do I need a co-host? Okay, I'm super excited to let you guys know that there's going to be a person joining me in the commentary box. Okay, so we've got a little tech issue there with Garrett from the States, the head route setter for the boulders. Okay, so we got so much happening. Quick little adjustment there happening with the climbers, all of them getting informed of the changes, which is an important part of the process. A few back and forth questions. I was going to tell you about the scores. Let me quickly update you as to how these ladies looked after the semi-finals. Currently in first place with 171.7 out of a possible 200 points is Rowan Crone. And just behind her with 143 is Lauren Makaiba. In third place, 131 is Ariana Yonata Burns. And Tegan Oates with 109. These four climbers sitting over that 100 points mark. And then the next four, Cara Pepler sitting on 95, Shanique Reinhardt on 83, Caitlin Bauer on 74.5, and Jade Vogt on 73.2. So these climbers are hoping to get 100 points for the bouldering, or as close to 100 as they can. And the addition of these two scores, bouldering and lead together, give them the total score and the total ranking and the chance to go to the Olympic Games. With me in the commentary box, I'd like to introduce Cullen Curtis, who has done a fair amount of climbing. You may have seen him yesterday. And hello, Cullen. Welcome to the commentary box.
Thank you so much, Alistair. It's awesome to be here. Awesome to have an opportunity to commentate and watch these talented ladies. I was just down there viewing the boulders now, close up. They look amazing, extremely dynamic. I think the first three I spot dynamic moves on all of them. Number 3 looks to be the most difficult for me, in my opinion, especially between the start and hold 5. But yeah, looks really exciting. I can't wait to see the girls on these climbs. Can't wait to see who's going to be the Olympic representative from them. And yeah, looking forward to the start.
Okay, so the girls are currently behind the wall getting prepped. The first climber out is going to be Jade Vocht, and she's going to be hopping on to climb number 1, which is the dark gray panel you can see on the right-hand side of your screen. Carl, do you want to talk us through a little bit of the beta? And let's see how far away we are from climbing. Whoop. Okay, Jade Vocht's coming out and getting ready to climb.
Yeah, the beta looks fairly straightforward on number 1. I think that not a lot of the athletes will struggle with the move from the start holds to zone 5. The undercling looks fairly good, and the hold that they're going to, hold 5, looks good. Oh, it looks like I've been describing the wrong one. Hold 1 is in the, yeah, women's 1 is in the middle of the wall. This is actually the most difficult that I thought it was going to be. I thought it was Boulder 3. Yeah, sure.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the women's bouldering finals. Out on the wall, we got Jade Vocht. She's from Gauteng. She is representing South Africa. And this is women's 1. Good luck, Jade.
Thanks, Alistair. Yeah, so this is when I was looking at the climbs earlier on, looked like to be the toughest boulder to me, and the toughest move as well seemed to be from the start to hold 5 here. It seems like there's not a lot of options other than a very dynamic move, sort of going into hold 5 and then gas starting the next hold after 5. You can see Jade trying to static it, but they've blocked the starting hold where her hands are for her heel. Which would allow the athletes to static it. You can see her trying to get her feet in there, trying to get a toe. And then also this hold that she's going to try maybe move her right foot onto now is dual tech, so there's nothing you can really stand on there. I think the athletes are maybe meant to get a toe hook there to try and make the dynamic move a bit easier. But yeah, it's really tough to have this out as women's number 1 and the first move as well. Looking after hold 5, though, it looks a little bit more straightforward. The Gaston after hold 5 is quite big, and then so does number 10. It's a bit slopey, but decently textured. Might be a tough move to hold 25. It's not a great finish hold, but it looks a little bit more straightforward than this very aggressive dynamic move to start off the women's finals.
Okay, thanks, Carl. We got, yeah, quite a bit of power required at that start, you know, to pull up on your right hand and get that left hand into the 5. So you can, yeah, that does look like a lot. Probably a bit of a campusing movement and then getting the feet up to stabilize the body once you're higher. We'll see what Jade does. A little bit of a jump at the start, but as you said, that dual tech's lower right foot isn't really great. I wonder if they intended a toe hook or something there just to stabilize the body and get you to move up and into it. A little bit of an issue with the time, I think. You guys can see it on your screen. Jade is having a look, checking back. She's got 4 minutes to climb, and each of the climbers has 4 minutes per boulder, so she just taking a moment to look back, trying a left foot cross through there onto the The volume. Okay, let me do a quick update on the time just so Jade knows what's happening via the MC mic. Okay, we got 40 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, still trying to work out this first move. Another sort of interesting thing is the big volume sort of that the athletes are skipping. You see that there's not a lot of chalk on it, but potentially gives options for different beta. It might just be a foot, but yeah, it seems like, as I predicted, a really tough first move to the low zone here on women's number 1. And that's Jade's time, and unfortunately not able to get it. But I do think that there are some easier moves on the other boulders. I think this, at least in my estimation, it could be the hardest one. So hopefully it's not going to demotivate any of the athletes.
Okay, our next climbers are going to be ready to come on out. We've got Caitlin Bauer climbing in front of the home crowd, her home city of Pretoria. She's hopping onto women's number 1. Good luck, Katie. We're rooting for ya. Okay. Caitlin coming on out to have a little look. No hesitation, just hopping straight on. She's got a good idea of what she wants to do based on her time in the observation period. Also struggling to find a way to stabilize her body there on the left. Looking for a toe hook. As you mentioned, Carl, too tight to put a heel in there, too tight to put a toe in. Got to be some sort of stabilization system happening to stop the body swinging to the right and off of those holds. Those hand holds pulling your body to the right, your feet trying to hold your body to the left, but nothing to hold your body to the left.
Yeah, exactly that. And honestly, the only hold that's going to hold your body to the left really high up. So I think that, you know, the battle isn't over once these athletes find a position to be able to launch to the low zone, because as you can see, the low zone facing to the right, they're still going to need to be able to stabilize and sort of activate once they get to the low zone to be able to gas down the higher hold. So I think that you're going to see maybe when athletes come out lower out in the order that they'll be able to maybe launch for that low zone, but will also struggle to stick it or be able to, you know, get the right hand gas down in order to stick the low zone. So really tough move to start. And also for this being Women's Boulder 1, you know, sometimes the athletes aren't fully warmed up. To have this power boulder quite early is a really tough challenge for the athletes. There you can see Caitlin stick the right hand, also still trying to get the heel. I can confirm that there's sort of 2 holes by the start, and the heel that she's trying to get on now is really, really bad. It's just not strong enough to be able to lock in a heel and go statically to that low zone.
Caitlin taking a moment to reassess. When she was sitting in the observation period, she probably thought she had a pretty good idea of what to do, but realizing that it isn't quite as easy as she thought it might have been, and she's got to just rethink and see if she can find a different strategy. That's the beauty of the climbing, especially the bouldering process, is that you think you know what to do, and only once you've tried a few different things do you really know what works and what doesn't work. She's got 1:30 left on the clock, and she is, as the second climber, currently ranked 7th after the semi-final process. And as the stronger climbers come out, the better ranked climbers, we'll see some of the strongest climbing through. Hopefully we'll see a flash on this problem. Carl, do you think a flash is possible?
Sure. On women's 1, I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of faith in the stronger the athletes. I think Round's been climbing fantastically. I think we could see a flash, and if it's going to be anyone, it will probably be her. I do think that this is the toughest boulder of the round. So, yeah, confident we're going to see some flashes today, but on women's 1, sure, it's going to be a tough ask.
One thing I've learned in watching comp climbing is to never underestimate the competitors. These guys, these girls have been training and training and training and conditioning their body to peak athletic performance, strengthening their fingers, strengthening their biceps, their back muscles. Can see Katie's been hitting the gym. You need so much muscle mass to generate this power. You need the coordination, you need the balance, you need the hand-eye coordination to put your hand on the hold at the right time and catch your body. Katie heading back off the mat, same as Jade. No points scored on this boulder. Got the brushes coming on out to give it a good little clean. You'll see these guys coming out throughout the competition. Each of the climbers, as they climb, adds chalk, powder onto the holds, fills in the texture. Hey, next climber out onto the wall. From Mpumalanga, we got Shanique Reinhardt representing South Africa.
Yeah, one thing I can say also with whether we'll see some flashes on Women's One, this is obviously the steepest boulder of the round and you know, the power boulder. And what you really want to see on power boulders are flashes. You, as an athlete, don't have a huge amount of attempts, and I think your best go usually is the flash go, unless there's some beta that you can figure out later on. But we really are going to expect a flash if we do want to see a top on this. It gets less and less likely because of how much energy it requires to pull on these power boulders. Obviously, it seems like the crux is quite early on, so the athletes can still give it a couple goes. But if you're falling at the high zone, it really is tough to get back on and get back there due to how physical this low section of the power route is.
And for these climbers coming out on climb number 1, they've got 4 boulders ahead of them, and shortly after that, they're going into the lead climb. So it really is a bit of a tactical decision sometimes. Do you try get to the same point you've gotten already with the chance of getting higher and getting some extra points? Or do you save your power, your energy, all the ATP in your muscles, the sugar in your blood? Do you save that for what's coming later? Because skipping an attempt earlier on in the cycle can save you some power later on that might make a big difference, especially if a boulder isn't your style. If you're not a powerful climber and you give this problem 10 or 12 tries over your 4-minute period, and then later on when you're in your style, maybe you're a better slab climber or more endurance-y for the lead climbing, now you've sapped a whole bunch of the energy in your body, and does make it a little bit of a tactical session as well as a physical and mental process to compete.
Yeah, spot on, Alistair. That's really good insight. I totally agree. And as an athlete, you feel like a lot of pressure on the mats to carry on giving it attempts, and it only comes with, I think, at least in my experience, a lot of competing and a lot of experience to know that, you know, sometimes you have to walk away early from a boulder, or just, you know, take longer rests on power boulders. When you have a power boulder, first boulder in the round, like you mentioned, it really is about strength management. You've got another 4 boulders to climb. There's definitely 2 other boulders that look quite powerful as well. So yeah, it's managing your skin, managing your power, and yeah, when it's you're the first person out, or it's the first boulder. You want to, you're revved up and you want to give it as many goes as possible, but it takes a lot of discipline to be able to manage the amount of attempts that you're giving, and to make sure, if you know that it's a really difficult move, that and that there's some moves that on other boulders that you can do later on in the round, that you save your energy and maybe call it early.
Shanique here getting both hands up, finding the toe hook that the other climbers haven't been able to find yet, and just popping down there. But she has made some progress that the other girls haven't managed to make. So hopefully we'll see her scoring some points on this boulder. She is, based on the numbers from the semi-final, on paper at least, a better climber than the other 2 girls that we've seen so far. And that might be enough just to help her get to the 5, and if she's lucky, get through into the 10 as well. And when it comes close to it at the end of the day, you know, 0.1 of a point could be the difference. 5 points, 10 points becomes quite a big difference, and when you add those 5 points on the lead, that's a move higher, 2 moves higher on the high part of the wall, and 2 or 3 moves lower down on the wall, you know, up to 5 moves if you are if the lead route is hard and everyone's falling lower down. So really important to, in the bouldering, capitalize as much as you can and get those bonus 5 or 10 points, even if you're not making the top. Okay, next out onto the mat. Climber number 4 from South Africa, Cara Pepler.
Yeah, Cara out on the mats now. Cape Town climber, so I'm familiar. She's got a sister Ilka as well, both really strong climbers. Looking forward to seeing how she does. Again, I think this really is probably going to be the toughest move we see on any of the boulder rounds, so be very impressed with some progress here. You see her trying to go to that low volume first. You saw it with Shanique as well. Both sort of gave it a feel and realized that it's better to just bounce to the better volume. But there we see, I think, probably the best attempt out of any female athlete so far. She was able to launch for the low zone. Seems like just keeping the low left foot, flagging the right foot, and being able to at least generate enough to touch the hold. But again, like I said, it doesn't stop there. Like, I think low zone's a little bit in cut, but you will really need to be able to generate enough power to actually get your right hand up to the big volume in order to stick that hold. I think it might be really tough for the athletes just to be able to stick the low zone in isolation. So a little bit of progress, but yeah, still super, super tough first move here for the girls.
Cara just getting a little brush there. And the climbers have an option to either brush themselves or request one of the brushers to come in and brush. Cara hopping back onto the wall. You can see how big that move is, just managing to get her fingers around the hold there. And experimenting with that dual tex. And what I found with the dual texes climbing in the gym is if you're really careful with your feet and how you position your body, you can use them a little bit and stand on them, you know, like ice skating. If you're doing the right thing at the right time, it can work out.
Yeah, really interesting from that burn. You saw her actually trying to load the right foot on the smooth dual tex. Yeah, Alison and I were both thinking that you maybe need to get a toe hook on the friction part of that, but seeing how she was able to generate a little bit more standing on the dual tex part and thinking a bit more about how sort of useless a toe hook maybe would be on that lower right foot, it may actually seem like the beta is exactly what she's doing there, right foot on the smooth dual tex part. So very sort of modern setting. We actually had a similar boulder yesterday on the men's 2, where we started, you know, the starting footholds was on a giant smooth part of a dual tex. So yeah, it does throw you off a bit if you're not used to it, but we have seen a lot of international competitions using the smooth part of the dual tex. We've had, you remember those who watched the World Champs in Bern, there was a men's boulder with all dual tex holds where you actually had to use the smooth part of the dual tex with your hands as well. So yeah, I think that might have been the intention of the set, is to just put a really slippery right foot, and Cara seemed to have found that and is definitely getting a little bit further than the other ladies, getting her hands into that low zone. So yeah, we'll see if she's able to generate enough to be able to get to the Gaston and stick it.
Yeah, I really love how the route setting is a response to the climber's ability. And we've seen over the history of climbing, all of these different styles that have come in to test climbers in different ways. And climbing in a competition is really a test of this ultimate question: are you a good climber? You know, the basic question of climbing is, you're on the ground, can you get to the top? And that's how most people get started. They go through to a gym, or a friend takes them out to the crag, and they're on the ground, and their friend says, there's the top, see if you can get there. And I'm going to quickly introduce the next climber. So give me a second, and then we'll come back to this discussion of the development of route setting techniques. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, next climber coming out onto the mats. We've got Tegan Oates, and coming out for her second climb, we've got Jade Vocht.
Yeah, Tegan, really strong lead climber. I climbed out with her in Joburg, which is where I'm from. She's also, yeah, Joburg climber, and I was able to compete with her in Innsbruck this year. She competed in the lead and Boulder World Champs or World Cup there. So yeah, super strong climber. I definitely say her preferred discipline is lead, but she also competed in the speed. I think one of the only athletes that did both. So yeah, really impressive. And yeah, big couple days that she's had. And I know she's also been recovering from a knee injury. So really good to see her out here and being able to compete.
You guys can see Jade here struggling to figure out the start. And we saw yesterday with some of the climbers on the slab is these volumes are slippery and textured at the same time. Carl, you probably didn't get to see Luke slowly sliding his feet off of the volume, sliding in slow motion. And it was the craziest thing. His hands are perfectly in position. He's doing everything right, and his feet are just slowly creeping off the volume. And no amount of brushing was able to save him there. And I wonder if we'll see something similar here with Jade. And the route setting. Sure, it's such a crazy, creative process. Imagine being a guy that creates crossword puzzles or Sudokus, but that have to be solved in a physical aspect. So that's really what route setting is. Tegan getting into that first move there, struggling to figure out what to do with the feet. Let's see if she figures out standing. She does. Quite confidently pushing off with the right leg on that smooth hold and nearly holding the hold number 5, the closest we've seen so far. Jade got to figure out how to establish on that volume. And for those who don't know what establishing means, just means being in control with all your limbs, hands and feet on the holds marked with the tape. So we've got 2 hands and 2 feet here, not too complex. A little later on, we might see something a bit different. But for now, 2 hands on the hold mark start and 2 feet on that big lower black one. And before you can do anything else, you got to be established on those starting holds.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Nick sliding on the volume. I had a moment on that same climb yesterday where I had a big debate on the kind of shoes I wanted to wear. Like I think when you see these sort of volume holds, it's a lot nicer to have sort of softer shoes that are more sticky. But there were a couple like tiny crimps on the edge of the volumes, which the stiffer shoes that I used the squammers yesterday really helped on. So yeah, it sometimes depends on how the athletes weight the feet, sometimes depends on just the shoes that you're using. But yeah, it's really tough. You can see Jade struggling here on move 1. What I think the debate here, the way I read it, was to really stand up quite dynamically into that undercling. You can see her starting quite low, and that start hold, the 2 strikes where her left hand is, it's not very deep. So in order to engage, you really actually almost have to, I sort of told with the idea of a running start and running up, jumping and making sure that your hands or your arms are straight and you're able to load that undercling and your feet are straight standing on that volume. So she's, I think, going about it a bit statically at the moment, but I think a more dynamic approach would be something worth trying.
Yeah, Carl, that's what I was thinking. The run and jump where you can get your legs straight, your hips close to the wall will be a really good way to get into that. You just got to be careful not to touch those next holds on the wall, you know. I don't know if you're allowed to touch a hold with your face before you're established. But I think with your body in the way there, the judges won't really be able to stop you. Okay. Hope you guys have been having fun enjoying the boulders. Our next climbers coming out onto the mat for her first climb. Ariana Yanata Burns hopping on women's number 1. Caitlin Bauer getting ready for women's number 2. Give them a round of applause.
Yeah, Ariana, really strong climber, also out of Cape Town, so quite familiar with her, and I was able to compete with her also in Innsbruck this year. Definitely, I think, a preferred boulder specialist, but did amazingly well in the lead yesterday as well. And you can see right away, probably the best attempt we've seen on that. Straight away, going for the right foot on the dual text and being able to hit that low zone. But again, as you really have to generate a lot of power to get to the next hold in order to stick that low zone. And here we see Caitlin on women's 2.
Caitlin figuring out the start, doing the run and jump as we hoped. She's got 5 points, the first climber to score anything in this boulder round. And got quite a big and dynamic run and jump here. Going to be a tricky one. Do they go straight for the 10 and compress between those two, or do they use that hold in between and try to do a little more statically? Caitlin's learned the trick. And once your body's learned that Engram, that movement pattern, you'll see climbers struggling with moves, doing it 3-4 times in a row, and then suddenly they get it. Their body knows what to do. It becomes ingrained in their brain, and then they just are able to execute it every time. And I think one of the skills of being a comp climber is being able to learn that movement quickly, and once you've learned it, be able to repeat it, because these starting moves, Ariana so close to holding that 5, and if she falls off higher up on the 10 or trying to match the 25, she'll have to execute that move a couple more times, as tiring as it is, as intense as it is. And Carl, I wanted to get your opinion here. As a climber, you're so intense on just getting to that next progress point. It's like in a game where you got a save point. You know, you just want to get to that point and save your progress. And she knows if she can hold that 5, she'll get some points on the board. But if she goes through that 5 and into that high right-hand Gaston, she'll get the 5 in the process and be in a much more stable position.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, I think that 5 hold is decent enough that you think that maybe you can stick it, but just the way it's angled away means that you, yeah, it's just not possible. Let's just see her attempt here, if she's able to. Yeah, she's trying to just stick it. She's not really going to the next move, but what I saw from that attempt was that she almost was able to just hold that flag. So yeah, it could be a fact that it is stickable, and maybe you get like a high right heel, like right hand heel match, and go up to the Gaston. So I don't know, we'll see. She definitely seems to be the athlete that's getting the closest on this. But yeah, still seems to be a really tough one.
And it also comes down to a little bit of strength there with the right hand as well. You know, using the right hand to control your body and stop it pulling you too far, but also take some of the weight so your left hand doesn't have to deal with all of it. And I see she's trying to get a thumb there with the right hand and pinch, but it's on the smooth dual text. Well, the smooth text of the dual text part of the hold. And if you can just have a little bit of a thumb, it keeps your body a bit more in control. Katie looking at the clock, 37, 36 seconds left. If she can just get to that 10, she'll be ahead of everyone else. Ariana just struggling to stick that move, you know, and you got to think, once you've held that move, what's happening next? You're going to get hopefully a high left foot, and you really want your right hand high in that position, create the oppositional force that'll hold your body in place. Katie, you can see the energy that's been extended there, the tiredness in the body. Okay, 10 seconds left on the clock. The brushes are out. Let me introduce the next climbers. Okay, amazing climbing, ladies. Get ready. We got Lauren McIver coming on out for women's number 1. Shanique, Nikki, Reinhardt coming back. Climb number 2.
Yeah, Lauren, very strong climber, has been in Australia, I believe, for the past few years, and so we haven't seen much of her. I climbed at Salt Lake City with her last year. Very strong climber, but a bit of an unknown quantity. Obviously, hasn't been competing on the local scene for a while, and competed extremely well yesterday, or the day before. And looking forward to seeing how she does on this boulder. She's a very strong boulder, a very powerful climber, so she would be looking to do well on the power boulders. And obviously Shanique also on women's 2, trying to see if she can get this running start beta down.
So Lauren has been doing quite a few competitions in Australia and getting the comp experience. You know, it's one thing to be in a place where you can train and do all of those things, but the mental aspects of competing in a competition is a big part of what needs to be trained and prepared. And she's been doing those comps in Australia. I'm sure you guys watched the Oceania qualifier that happened a little while ago, and she's been, yeah, Lauren has won the Africa Continental Championship before, both for speed and for lead boulder, and she took part in the World Games that happened a little while ago in America. And Shanique really finding a more stable position there, much better than we saw earlier from both Jade or Caitlin, and using a bit of flexibility there and really getting good purchase out of the right foot on those lower holds, and using what we thought were maybe footholds for later to stabilize the body. And it's just enough. Oh, a little bit of a slip there, pop of the feet, but really good movement from her. And Lauren figuring out that she's got to get that right hand high if she's going to be doing anything on number 5. And the judge is possibly going to give her that points for number 5 for using it to get to number 10. I mean, to get to that next high right hand Gaston. I'm going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, and the crowd gets the benefit of that as well. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me do some quick thank yous. We got some amazing sponsors that have made this event possible. Big shout out to FormScaf, who've created the scaffolding that goes on behind the walls that makes this whole structure, climbing wall, bouldering wall, lead wall that we're going to see the climbers on today possible. And to Sports Unplugged, who have been involved in organizing and sponsoring this event.
Yes, as a tall person, I'm a big fan of a tall person beta break, and you see Shanique there completely avoiding the sort of very common run dyno that you see in a lot of comps with being able to reach over and Gaston that hold, as you can see, and you know, also having the flexibility to get a left foot up, something actually I think I might have even found on this. And yeah, it's really cool to see different ways to do the climb. I'm sure we'll see a lot of girls attempting the run dyno still. But let's see if she's able to get zone 10. You can see the high zone is actually the next volume, so she wouldn't have got it on her previous attempt, but now trying to just be able to generate enough. It's good enough that if she just commits, which she's looking like she's going for now, oh, no ways. Really good attempt from her. I think she's going to have to try and move her right foot while she goes for that high zone a little bit more to the right to be able to stabilize. But oh my goodness, the time is out already. That's, yeah, really unfortunate that she got really close.
All right, we're already out of time. Next climber coming out onto the wall for her first time climbing today. We got Rowan Crone. And out for her second climb, Cara Pepler is going to be hopping on women's number 2.
Yeah, Rowan had an incredible qualifying round yesterday. I think a lot of people would have called her the favorite going into the tournament. She's been climbing really strong, also down from Cape Town, so very familiar with how strong she is. She's been tearing up local comps there. She's got an older sister as well, very strong climber. She comes from a family of 5, actually. And yeah, very excited to see how she does in the finals. I know she's been carrying some injuries as well, but those didn't seem to affect her much in the qualifying round. She was brilliant, and I really am hoping that we can get a low zone stick here, and she's the last climber out, so it's the last chance for us to see it.
Cara doing really well established, and on 5 points on problem number 2. A little bit of a swing with the foot there, and you guys saw Rowan doing that as well. Bit of a pogo to generate some height and generate some momentum from the body. And we'll see if that pogo helps get into the 5 and a bit higher. My suspicion is that the right foot out on the terrible dual text will be a better way to do it. And the pogo probably going to pull her body a little bit out. You'll see she's going for it again, yeah. The problem with the pogo is once you reach that foothold, you got to deal with the momentum that the pogo creates. And without a higher right hand in that hold between 5 and 10, I think the momentum's going to be too much to stick the 5. And she gets a good brush there. All depends on the finger strength and a whole bunch of factors that will affect how easy it is to stick these moves.
Yeah, I want to speak a little bit about women's 2 and the beta between the low zone and the high zone. You saw Cara there with a sort of attempt to dynamically get, yeah, that really interesting technique there. You know, I think what most of us read for women's 2 was a standard run dyno, and we've seen a few attempts on that. What I've seen, and I think maybe an improvement from from the attempts of people going all the way to the high zone is a subtle like foot movement on the second volume. So we can see it in screen here. Like a lot of the athletes are generating a lot of momentum from the low zone and planting their right foot on the second volume. But after that, they're sort of focusing on their hands and trying to grab the high zone right away. But the sort of more common or more popular technique would be to shuffle your feet again. You see she keeps her right foot planted, but she actually wants to like get her left foot on that second volume, move her right foot even further, whilst at the same time trying to grab that high zone and the left hand to stabilize. So really tricky way to do that, but of course there's different ways to do it. We saw Shanique with the static beta on the last attempt, and you see, well, you saw on Cara's last attempt with trying to hit this Gaston. Oh, there she goes for the far high zone as well. So yeah, really interested to see how the other athletes approach this move, because it does seem to be a move that can be done in quite a few ways.
I think we'll see, as the rest of the climbers start coming out, more success with the static beta. And like you said, Carl, you got to get your hips way more to the right and your sense of gravity a little more in the right place if you want to be holding on to that 10. And the feet have got to be much, much further right, and possibly even smearing the right foot out on the right of the wall. But you got to pop the feet. Cara trying to come into the Gaston there, but that movement pattern probably be much better served with a slower, more static approach. She has got the run and jump start really nice and smooth, and it's going to see if she can do some different beta. Got 6 seconds left on the clock. And Rowan not sticking the zone. Stiff problem number 1 as expected. A little too stiff for our climbers today. Okay. Amazing work. We've seen all the climbers. We'll see them again as the day progresses, coming out for their next climbs. We've got, waiting for the brushes to finish. And we're just putting in a hold there to make sure that women's number 4 is not obstructed.
Yeah, so just some context on what's happening here. There was a hold on women's 3. I believe it's women's 3, the red climb. Oh, women's 4, yeah. So women's 4 had a red foothold that was, well, could have been touched by the woman climbing on women's 1. But now that the women's 1 boulder is over, they're putting back the red foothold on women's 4, removing some of the holds on women's 1 so that they're not in the way. But yeah, happy that my first prediction as a commentator was correct, and women's 1 being extremely difficult, but very disappointed that that we didn't see any points at all. I think the setters will be disappointed as well. It did look like a really difficult start move, and I think that yeah, without being too critical, the harder moves I think would have been better served higher up on the climb, so we could see a bit more separation. But there might have even been some beta that the setter's going to tell us we all missed, and that makes that move a bit easier. So yeah, I think all the women will be a bit disappointed that there wasn't any separation. But there's still 3 more boulders to go.
Okay, coming out for first climber on women's number 3, we got Jade. And hopping on to women's number 2, Tegan.
Yeah, so we're going to see a first attempt at the slab climb, women's 3 from Jade. We're going to see how it goes. Does look like, in my opinion, one of the more doable boulders. There is some tricky footwork, but the volumes seem quite decent. I think the way she's going about it on the first attempt is quite interesting. I would expect Dino up to zone 5, but I see Tegan is actually on screen. Let's see how she does. With the Dino sticking the low zone first go, I think she might be the first athlete that's done that, which is very impressive. You see there Jade in the right corner doing, as I mentioned, quite an interesting way to start it. You definitely want to get high up and standing on those holds that she was using as hands, but she was trying to traverse straight away and then maybe looking to mantle later on. Teague's falling on the start move. It's interesting in terms of her height, whether it benefits or hinders her, being able to load that undercling. But her height could definitely be very helpful here in using Shanique's static beta if she decides to go for it. But it looks like she's going to go for the dynamic move. Yeah, a lot of the girls really struggling with the dynamic version of that beta. And like Alice has said, you really need to get your hips in closer to the wall, be a bit more committing and use a bit more footwork on that second dino to be able to stick it.
Yeah, thanks, Carl. The climbing here, definitely you can tell it's a step up from the semi-finals that we saw on Thursday. This is the finals. These girls are being tested at a new level. This is the Olympic qualifier event, and we really got to get good separation. That's what the route setters are aiming for, to see the climbers spread out and not everyone tied after the boulders. I mean, that would be not ideal, having to rely on the lead to separate them. And I think we've seen a good progression in the climbers and their levels. And as we progress through these boulders, we'll see a little more. Tegan just struggling a little to get that start. You know, it is simple, but it's still hard. And once you've learned the move, doesn't mean you can't make a mistake. So for those who have just joined us, we are in Pretoria. This is the IFSC Continental Championship. My name is Alistair. I'm here in the commentary box with Culrin. And we are in Pretoria, one of the biggest cities in South Africa, part of the megalopolis that is Gauteng province. Over 10 million people live in this province, and it is the smallest of the provinces as well. We've got a hot sunny day. I'm sure you can see some rays of sunshine there sneaking their way through. The wall is in the shade. Every now and then climbers in the sun. All of the officials, all of that in the sun. We've got some umbrellas out, and I've seen lots of sunburned faces already. What happens when you live in Africa? The sun is hot.
Yeah, and we had a bit of rain yesterday. Obviously, this is a delayed semi-finals. It was going to happen last night, and then the rain came in. I wanted to ask you, Alistair, actually, as a coach who's had a lot of experience about the athlete's mentality. I think I'm fortunate. I've been competing for a long time, and I've never had a weather delay, but I can imagine that it must have quite a lot of an effect on the athletes. The mental preparation they were expecting, all of them arrived last night ready to climb, and then to be told that it's going to be, on tomorrow morning, and having to reset, and go through the whole process again of psyching yourself up is quite a big thing.
Okay, we've got our next climbers coming on out, ready for her turn on the slab. We got Caitlin Bauer. And coming on out after Tegan for climb number 2, we got Ariana. Yeah, Carl, sure. As an athlete and as a coach that works with athletes, this is quite a hectic thing. You come into this position, you think you know what's happening, and it's really a test of the competition process as well. How good are you at dealing with unexpected stresses that arrive? How good are you at coping with that moment? Does it derail you, or is it something that you're able to deal with? And the climbers train to deal with these stresses and processes, but they're only human. And when you've spent the whole day resting, preparing your body, making sure your sleep is right, expecting to be climbing at 10 o'clock at night, and the weather comes in and changes the scenario, you've just got to adapt. And those that can adapt the best and remain calm, remain collected, and keep their head are the ones that will have arrived at the isolation area this morning, the least stressed. But I was down there a little bit earlier and spent some time chatting with the climbers. They all seemed in good spirits, all super psyched for the event and super excited to come out and show the world and South Africa what it is that they've got.
Thanks, Alistair. I want to speak a bit about women's 3 now. We're seeing Caitlin give it a lot of burns. She's finally, this is exactly what I wanted to mention, is using this wall, which I've read it when I was viewing the route, and it didn't seem like any of the other athletes were we're seeing that that wall can be used. I know I've often missed you know, changes in angles. If there's not a hold there, you don't seem to focus on or think about using it. But yeah, we saw with the previous athletes and with Caitlin's first attempts where they are trying to traverse right and get a mantle up, but it definitely seems like the way we saw Caitlin do it now is the best way to approach it. So let's see now that she's figured that out, if she's able to get to the zone. Gets that left hand Gaston, palming with the right hand, wants to get the foot up. Yes, gets the left hand, left foot on, gets the right foot on. Needs to lean heavy into that left hand. Trying to put her right foot where her right hand is palming down. It looks like it's just on the volume now. Oh, really cool match. She's got her right foot on. That's amazing. Looks like she's going to get zone 5. Awesome. Great to see. Now she's going to have a tricky foot match. So there's only one tiny foothold that her right foot is on at the moment. Trying to swap to her left foot so she can get her right foot up to a higher jib. That's there, she gets it. She gets the match. She actually doesn't even have it. Now she has her left foot on the jib. Right foot on the higher jib. Is able to match. Gets her palm. Right palm down. This is a tricky move. She's going to have to really stand up on that right foot and drops it. Wow, really cool attempt. Really cool attempt. Yeah, back to you, Alistair.
Amazing climbing there from Caitlin Bauer. She's standing on that volume without the foot jib, smearing, really seems to be in control of her feet and in control of her balance. You saw her there just balancing on her feet, no hands to support her body. And now that she knows what to do here, she makes her way up nice and easy. She knows how good the texture is on that volume. Obviously, it's good to have your foot on the hold. You can see she's trying to place her right foot there, but realizes got to shuffle the hands a little bit of maneuvering. Sometimes these small little details, is your palm 2 centimeters further to the left that it should be, means you don't have space for your right foot to come in and hold it. You can see the balance here. Just on angle, just enough to move. She steps across and she is using that left hand to stabilize her body and get a little bit higher on the wall. She's got 20 seconds. Oh, the left hand just popping off, not being enough to keep her body onto the wall. Ariana on problem number 2 here. Just getting her hands on those holds, but her body swinging around too much, too far out from the wall to be able to hold her in. Let me introduce the next climbers. Okay, coming on out onto the wall. Coming onto the slab, we got Shanique. And coming out onto women's number 2, we've got Lauren. Okay, ladies, your 4 minutes begins. Good luck.
Yeah, really good attempt from Caitlin there. Oftentimes you come off a slab and you think if you could have a couple more minutes to work it out, yeah, you could do it. So I'm sure she'll be a bit disappointed, but really phenomenal effort. I think, yeah, slab is kind of unique in whereas you're really working out the puzzle and how to do the moves rather than a power boulder where you might not just, you might not be strong enough to do an individual move that's quite straightforward. And you saw a bit of Ariana's last burns there again, keeping that right foot very static on the second volume when she's dynoing, not, allowing her left foot to come in and shift her weight further right. Yeah, you see it there again with Lauren's burn. It really is a difficult technique. I speak a lot about, how to do it, but I struggle with these kind of sideways diners as well. We had 2 of them actually in the men's, not one where I think that was long enough to do a sort of double foot movement, but yeah, it seems to be a very popular a move that's been set at Africa Cup today.
So we've got our head setter from the IFSC, Garrett. He's bought a little more of that comp style in South Africa. We still learning to really embrace the comp style movements, the recreational climbing. Obviously, these movements, these coordination movements are really hard. And I wanted to chat a little bit about the risk, intensity, and complexity framework which people use when setting boulders. And you can have a boulder where it's really easy to see what to do, but it requires a lot of physicality to be able to do it. And you got boulders that once you know what to do, they suddenly aren't so hard, and that's what these climbers have got to deal with, is sometimes It just requires the ability to put your foot up under your ear and press and pull your body on tiny holds, only millimeters big, and that requires a huge amount of physical ability. And sometimes you got to solve a complex movement pattern where you got to put your foot, your feet, and your hand are all moving at the same time. And if you can figure those movements out and you're familiar with more complex movement patterns, then those things become quite easy because you got good holds. They just require momentum, like Lauren there, just not getting her hands high enough up on those holds. Those things, the lower you hold, if your hands are right down where the yellow writing is, they're quite shallow, just a couple of centimeters. But if you go a bit higher, they're much bigger and you'll be able to get a good squeeze and compress those two holds together. So Lauren, she learned the move. She knows what to do. And you see her bumping that right foot up to get her body a bit more stable. Really amazing climbing from Lauren here. Now she's got to come through that next top hold, 25, upside down, finding the good feet. Now she's got to get a little bit of balance. And the climb is being tested. Can you balance? Can you be strong? Super psyched. Lauren really excited with the top there. She knows that this will give her a good advantage going into the rest of the climbing. And the girls are sitting behind the wall there. They can hear the crowd. They know what's happening. They know when someone gets a top. They'll have heard the crowd cheering for Caitlin on the slab, but they don't know how far she's gotten, you know. And they've just got to do the best that they can and get the best results that they can. We've still got Nikki on the wall, 35 seconds left. And let's see if she can make some progress, get at least to that 5.
Yeah, absolutely psyched. I'm so happy to see her top right now. My energy levels are huge. Lauren pulling out the first top on the women's boulders. Love to see it. Amazing climb, proving me completely wrong. I think she had a static right foot on the second volume, but was just able to plant it far enough that she was able to grab those two holds, the high zone and the left hand. So strong. You know, she's really, like we've spoken about, her power in bouldering, being able to hold that. And then my prediction, luckily I didn't say it out loud beforehand, was that the move from high zone to top on women's 2 was going to be really difficult, and she managed to do it easily.
All right, next climber is getting ready to come on out. We got Rowan coming on out for climb number 2, and Cara heading to the slab for climb number 3.
Yeah, pressure on right now. As Alistair mentioned, she would have heard the shouts for the top on women's 2. But what I can say is that Rowan is really capable at these kind of dynamic movements. She's really strong, and I do expect the top here from her. But yeah, lots of pressure and anything can happen. And also it's now Caitlin looks at Cara out on women's 3 with the slab. Shanique not being as successful as Caitlin, unfortunately. But let's see if Cara is able to see that left wall. Yes, she sees it, but will need to be a bit more dynamic in trying to sort of get her weight above herself. And now we see Rowan on the dyno. Let's see, first attempt, always really tricky, trying to gauge the distance. Oh, I don't think I like that better, going for the right-hand gas on the left-hand sort of opposing move. Yeah, we'll see if she changes up her beta on the second go.
Yeah, Rowan kind of combining the static and the dynamic beta, using a bit of momentum to get into that Gaston. Maybe if she's a little bit higher in her body and straight on the left arm, then she can press between those two holds and get the left foot up, which will make that right hand hold really good. And then she can move a bit more statically through to the higher zone. And Rowan doing a cheeky, seeing if she can do something sneaky. The route setters, I'm sure, would have considered this as an option. But the climbers never cease to amaze me in their ability to figure out. The amazing thing with climbing is there are no, well, there's a lot of rules, actually. But when it comes to climbing, there are no rules. The holds are on the wall. You get what you get. And if you can use those materials to get from the bottom to the top, Rowan with really good bait is going to have to balance a lot here, trying to squeeze her right hand onto that intended as a foothold volume just up and right of the 5 there.
Yeah, crazy beta from Rowan. I'm not sure if I agree with this. I think that, you know, I've gotten into this situation often when I'm in a competition where I don't back myself on a specific move that seems quite obvious. It seems, I'm sure she would have read that the set is intended this sort of double clutch sideways dyno, and she hasn't even really given that a proper go. Now I think she will. I'm glad she's going back to sort of the conventional beta. What she, let's see, see what she was doing seemed, yeah, like really interesting. She seemed to get in a good position, but there was actually a recent competition in October where I really try to break the beta and end up spending a lot of energy for nothing. And when I did the conventional beta eventually, it seemed very easy, but that was only after the competition was done. So yeah, I think that, well, I'm hoping to see her give, yeah, give the standard beta 1 or 2 more goes and see if she can stick it that way.
I think as a climber, sometimes you just got to try that other beta that you saw just to remove it as an option, and then you can fully commit to what you know needs to happen. If you got in the back of your mind, maybe I should just try that, maybe I should just try that, and then you don't commit, you don't commit. And once you've tried it and you know that it's not the way to do it, then you can fully commit to the intended beta and really pull the muscles and the finger strength out of the bag and say, okay, this is what I got to do now, and go ahead with the effort of getting it done. Something I really like to see from Raoni is she's quite light on her feet, and that ability to shuffle your feet and move your feet in these dynamic movements really helps climbers. Cara looking super static here, puts her hand on the volume, on the wall. Hopefully that's enough to give her a hint as to what happened, but with only 20 seconds on the clock, might not be enough. Rowan still not committing all the way through there, trying to use the left hand to press into the gas on. Let's see if she just does a big going for glory run and jump here. She doesn't. Not going to be super chuffed with that. And time for the next climbers to come on out. All right, amazing climbing there, ladies. We are progressing in the cycle, and we've got Jade and Tegan coming on out. Jade's going to be hopping on climb number 4, and Tegan will be getting onto the slab, women's 3. Good luck, ladies.
Yeah, I'm sure Ron will be very disappointed with that go, exposing, yeah, what seems to be a bit of a weakness. I think she's been so dominant so far, and like I mentioned before she got on the climb, she is very good at these dynamic moves. But it's interesting, sometimes, you know, I've seen often watching overseas climbs, you sort of, you see an athlete that you think is very good at dynamic move, and there's a very specific sort of dynamic move that they struggle with. So yeah, it's very sort of body reliant or body specific. Sometimes the athlete just doesn't feel comfortable. When you didn't see, yeah, you saw it with Round there, she couldn't really generate any sideways momentum. And she'll be disappointed with that. But big taste of her resolve. You know, there's 2 more boulders left. She's still, I think this is the favorite, but Lawrence put a lot of pressure on her with the top of women's 2.
Yeah, I got to wonder if that ankle injury that Round has maybe been a bit of a factor in how willing she is to jump to the right and land on that ankle. And in the mix, not quite committing to the dynamic beta, not quite committing to the static beta. And I think if we'd seen the static beta that Shanique had earlier on, we could have seen Rowan make it through there a little bit better. And Rounds knows that Lauren got a top on that one, and she knows Lauren's chasing her in the rankings, and is really hoping, you know, Lauren, the former continental champion, hoping to retain the title, and Rowan hoping to make it through to the Olympics. Currently on the wall, we got Jade Vocht, first climber on women's 4, and Tegan Oates on the slab, taking a moment to just catch her breath, have a think, see what she wants to do there.
Yeah, really, really interesting stuff. I think a bit can be said. You spoke a bit about Lauren spending, well, living in Australia at the moment, and you know the other 2 athletes here at the Africa Champs who living overseas, Chris and Mel, really crushing in the men's qualifiers yesterday. So you know, not much can be said really at the moment of hometown advantage, because the South African athletes are struggling up against the, you know, the South Africans that are living abroad at the moment. I don't know how much can be said about that, but yeah, Teague's on the slab at the moment. Quite tough for someone a bit taller to get their weight and their feet up when she goes for this move. Oh, she's trying some interesting beta here. Right heel. I'm not sure if she's spotted the left sort of gas on the wall, but yeah, I'd imagine it would be tougher also with her knee. Also mentioning Round's ankle injury on the slab, I hope that she's able to sort of stand on those volumes fine, and I hope it doesn't affect her there. And then we have Jade on women's 4. First time we're looking at this climb. When I was scoping it, looked really tough. This first move seems to be like a match Gaston on the left-hand start hold, and then move out to the low volume. Then what I'm thinking is potentially like a heel or somewhere where you can sort of bounce the left hand up to the next hold, and then a dynamic move across to the high volume, sort of a double clutch that we see often in IFSC competitions. So right now she's looking at a double clutch for the first move. I sort of read this as well, but I think we might see athletes do, Gaston on the start, as you see the athletes from a higher from the higher order come on.
Yeah, so the cool thing about climbing is you do get the option to choose your beta and try different things that you think might work for you. And for a shorter climber like Jade, dropping a little lower, going more static into that might make a big difference. And for a taller climber, maybe when we see some of the taller climbers coming out on this problem, we'll see them making that reach a little bit easier and being able to hold those holds in a more powerful bent arm, shoulders engaged position. Whereas for Jade, I think it's close to the maximum of her reach. Seems like she's doing a quick check with the brushes there, getting something to happen. And we've got the jury president coming on through. We're going to see if there's a technical issue here. And he's going to just get involved a little with the brushing there. And let me get ready to introduce the next climbers. Okay, next climbers coming on out. We got Caitlin Bauer on the left-hand side of the wall. On the right-hand side of the wall, Ariana Yanata Burns. All right, ladies, let's see some climbing.
Yeah, you see the first go from Caitlin on the women's 4, going for the double clutch. It seems like maybe that left hand is not good enough for a Gaston, like I assumed, but it seems like this double clutch bait is really difficult. I know that left hand, the low zone, was in our men's lead route yesterday, and it does have a bit of a lip, but being able to catch it with the wall being a bit overhanging is going to be quite tough. And Ariana out on the slab, struggling on getting this mantle move. That foot that it seems like she's slipping on is really bad, I can confirm. So yeah, just trying to be able to get into that position. We've seen so many different betas on the slab, but only Caitlin at the moment seeming to work out the way to do it. But as I say that, Ariana gets the left hand and almost able to get her foot up, but at least she's worked out that beta. I'm sure her next goal will be the send to the low volume.
Can see Ariana taking the brush there. She knows what she's got to do now. That's a big part of the process. And Caitlin, you can see her and Jade spending a lot of time together during the observation period and trying the same beta here, both of them on the shorter side of the climbers. And sometimes it is a little bit of a trap to spend time sharing beta with people. And once you're on the mat, you're out there by yourself. You got to figure out, am I going to stick with this beta that I think is going to work, or am I going to try something new? And it's a hard thing to balance. Ariana, her left hand quite close to the corner there. And it's enough to keep her balanced. Moving it further out and closer to the dark gray panel will give her a bit more space in that corner and give her a little more of an angle to maneuver her body in. But once she's got that right foot on, she'll be way more stable. She just got to move her hand out the way. Shuffles the hand a little bit, gets the foot, using her body against the wall there. Almost a bit of a chimney. I don't know when last we saw a chimney in a climbing competition.
Yeah, when are they bringing the crack climbing back? Yeah, crucial bit of beta change for Ariana there that made her stick at least that first section and managed to get her up onto the volume, keeping that right arm locked. I think a lot of the athletes, when they get the left hand Gaston, they are struggling to to sort of generate momentum and sort of stem into the wall to get their foot up. But there you see her arms, right arms bent, and then as soon as it locks, she's able to get her foot up. And then, as Alistair mentioned, really crucial beta here is to move the left hand a bit further out. First get the right foot up, then make sure the left hand gets further out. But as I say that, Caitlin just stuck the double clutch on women's 4. Amazing. Just as I mentioned how difficult it would be. What an attempt. So now I sort of predicted, okay, interesting. Now that I've seen Caitlin on it, my initial prediction, as I mentioned, was a sort of left-hand bump and then sort of match and double clutch over to the high zone. But it looks like that's going to be very difficult. Probably not reachable by the women athletes. I think, as Caitlin was trying it, there was the way the setters intended it. Right hand up and then left hand, yeah, very dynamically into the high zone. So let's see if Caitlin can do it. 30 seconds left. Not a lot of time. Brushing, going for one more attempt.
Ariana got 20 seconds left on women's number 3. Let's see if she can make it through and get that 10-point hold. She's just got to get the balance there. She hasn't got the 5 yet. 10 seconds left on the clock. It's enough for her to get it. She'll be super psyched with that. Really make sure she's got it and steps off. She knows she's out of time. All right. Oh, so intense. Okay, let me get these next climbers out onto the mats. Okay, next climbers coming on out. We've got Nikki heading through to the slab. Just got a little brushing, and joining her, we're gonna have Lauren on climb number 3. Okay, climbers, time is beginning.
Yeah, really well done from Ariana getting that low zone right as the time ran out. Love to see a buzzer beater, and well done to Caitlin for getting low zone on women's 4. I think that, yeah, we can obviously all tell it's a really tough boulder round for the women, so getting these low zones will be really important in differentiating the athletes. Lauren now with the momentum from the center of women's 2 out on women's 3. Let's see if she reads the beta right away. Like I said, we've seen quite a bit of different beta attempts, but only one way seems to go on this first women's climb to the low zone. Gets the right hand, reads it right away, locks in the right hand. Really well done from her. Has the flexibility to get a high right foot to the right of her right hand. This is going to be really tough to bump the left hand up, and she does. With the right foot slips. Yeah, really interesting getting the wide right foot to the right of her right hand to be able to generate more power into her left hand against the wall. But that is obviously very intense on the right foot, which eventually slipped there. Let's see, is it Shanique now on women's 4? Quite tough, I could definitely say from experience for a taller climber, these sort of close double clutch moves where you're sort of pressing in together is really hard to generate power in. I think if you have a shorter wingspan, it's easier to squeeze. But yeah, let's give a little bit of points update. So at the moment, Lauren is on top, is at 24.5 points. Caitlin Bauer second with 13.7. Ariana on 9.3. And Rowan on 5, still yet to climb. Boulder 3 though. So really intense. Lauren out in front, looking okay on this women's 3. She's definitely got the idea of using the left-hand side wall, but we'll just see where she puts her feet on this next burn.
And Lauren with the flexibility there. There's a super high and far right foot just where that next volume comes in. And if you've got a good foot, you can have your hands and feet almost at the same height. And if you've got some good shoulder strength, which Lauren does, you can just use that to press and inch your body higher, higher, higher until you're suddenly standing and able to reach the 5. And Lauren with the only top we've seen so far, really quite far ahead on the points. You know, Caitlin in second place to catch Lauren. She's got to get at least the 10 with Lauren getting no more points. And then behind her, Ariana and Rowan with 5, only having gotten 1 bonus so far, 1 zone so far in this competition. Nikki can see from this angle, really prepped to come into the match and smear the right foot on that angle of the wall on the opposite side of where Lauren is. Lauren finding the inside foot, which we've seen work really well for the other climbers. That right hand palm just getting in the way. You can see how white the hold is there from all the chalk of the climbers. And these little movements, just a few centimeters with the hand, a few millimeters with the hand, makes a big difference. Getting established. You can see she's placing her hand slightly better now to leave some space for that foot to come on in. Pressing up, using her shoulders. Bumps the hand, and that really makes a big difference. Makes some space for the foot, and that's what she needs. Really great climbing from Lauren so far. Really showing why she is the African champion.
Yeah, really exciting. Let's watch Lauren here now. Only Caitlin has gotten to this spot before. Gets her right hand over onto a jib. You see there, she's looking at a foot that she's trying to cross her foot through. Oh, but just comes off. Interesting. You saw Caitlin trying to swap her feet and get her right foot where Lauren was trying to get her left foot there. Lauren going for her left foot and coming off. I think Caitlin's beta would have been better, but that's time already.
All right, next climbers coming out onto the mat. We're going to have Rowan hopping on to women's number 3, and Cara, her final climb of the bouldering round. Good luck.
Yeah, big pressure on Rowan here. This is where champions are made. She is a phenomenal slab climber, but she really needs this top. She's looking at the holds before she goes. It's often a really good idea. It's quite scary when you only have 4 minutes and you've had observation period, but taking her time. Cara out on women's 4. Let's see what Rowan can do. Lauren just getting that low zone right as the time ends. Really good for her score. It looks like the moves between low zone and high zone on this women's 3 is quite tough. Still haven't really seen the way to do it. Rowan immediately sees the left hand. Gaston. Let's see how her ankles can hold her on these slab moves. Seems to be very comfortable in the position at the moment. Looking to flash to low zone. Really good start for her. Matching the right foot and right hand. Managed to get her foot on the jib. Comfortable for her. This is a big moment in the competition. Having not topped the first 2 boulders. Favorite going into the competition. Looking to get the foot match now. Eking her foot over. You can actually stand on that volume, but she doesn't seem to trust her left ankle there, which is, you can see, is very heavily strapped. Comfortably though, gets the right foot on the high jib, left foot on the volume. Is in a good position now. I think wants to eventually swap her feet, which could be tough going over to the high zone. There is another jib to the right of the volume, but it seems to be it seems to be really difficult for her to move off this position. I think she needs to find a foot match from somewhere. The low zone hold is really bad. Trying to focus up here. The high zone, I can confirm, is a really terrible hold, so we'll definitely need to get her left foot where her right foot is in order to stabilize herself going to that high zone. But she seems to go to she seems to go with the left hand and comes off there. Really good attempt from Rowan.
Yeah, just watching Rowan there, I got to wonder if she's going to cross left hand over and keep that right hand palming on the volume and use that to stabilize her body and create some space for her feet to come up onto the second volume and walk the feet up higher, keeping the left hand there and the right hand free to go into the final hold. Or if she's going to go right hand to the 10 and have to figure out some other beta, but she looks pretty confident. She knows what to do here. Really using that left hand wall in a way that we haven't seen many of the other climbers do. And that makes a big difference. Let's see if she uses a bit more stemming to get a bit higher there.
Yeah, let's see if she changes her beta up here. She's definitely thinking about a lot more. You know, the left foot up on the wall seemed to be a good idea at the time, but doesn't set her well for the next move. Now she's moving her left foot where it needs to be for the move to the high volume, the high zone, in my opinion, but doesn't like that. You know, you have to get there first. Oh, this is tough. Gets the palm down. Looks like she's going to go for the beta that Alistair mentioned. Oh, does it? Keeps it foot on. Oh my word, the other side of that low zone is really tough, and she's still, like, it's so smooth, and she's holding it, but needs to swap her foot. Calms herself down. Amazing. Looking to try swap her foot. Can she do it? This is a huge moment in the competition. I think she gets the high zone points. Yeah, definitely will. Oh, but then comes off.
Oh my goodness, that was so intense. Really good climbing there from Rowan. And I was really impressed when she just calmed down a second, thought about it. Can she figure out the feet? Is there a way she can get higher and get that top? But just running out of time, unfortunately, there. Amazing climbing, ladies. We got our next climbers coming out. That'll be the last climber we've seen on women's number 3. Up next, women's number 4, Tegan Oates.
And the time seems to go by so quickly on 4 minutes. Really, yeah, tough from round there. I think that she was the only person to get the high zone, but disappointing to not see any tops from any of the athletes on women's 3. Again, that's 2 boulders now where we haven't seen any tops. We didn't mention Cora at all, though. She, yeah, was struggling to get the low zone. I think doing this double clutch beta. We saw Shanique trying to do the gas zone beta that I mentioned and going a bit more statically. We'll see if Tegan, being a taller athlete as well, will try that beta as well. It is really tough to be able to hold those moves in the way you saw her come off now. But she is the only athlete out on the wall now. And yeah, really, really tough boulders so far in this round. We haven't seen anyone move past this low zone on women's 4, and yeah, no tops on women's 3 either.
So we've entered with Tegan now the top half of the field, and you can see she's the only climber left on the wall. We've got 4 climbers left to climb, and let's see if they make it a little further. Lauren, Ariana, Rowan that are going to be coming out after Tegan. Really hoping to get a top here, and a top from any one of those climbers will put them in a really amazing position. I'm going to do a quick shout out to some more of our sponsors. Quick shout out to some more of our sponsors that have made this huge event possible. Big thank you to them. We got Waco Engineering, we got Skyjacks, York Timbers, Roll Plug, Talk Craft, the City of Tshwane, and we've also got Thirsty, keeping us all hydrated, and to Loftus, the huge stadium that is making all of this possible, and Petzl.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Alistair, it is huge to get a top right now. As I mentioned, the round has been really difficult. There's only been one top, and you can see that Lauren is well ahead of the other athletes with that one top. Well, obviously with the scoring the way it is, the 25 points for the top, 10 points for the high zone, there is a big difference if you're able to get that top versus just a high zone. So still really all to play for, with no one being able to top this women's 4 so far. It really will be the time for Rowan to step up and overcome the tough round she's had so far. But could we see Lauren give a top one here as well? She's been doing really well so far. It's a very powerful climb. And yeah, anything can happen with only one top in the round so far.
Yeah, top from Lauren here will really put her in a good position. She'll be, I don't want to say untouchable after the bouldering, but if she gets a top here, she can pretty much double her score and put herself well ahead of any of the other climbers that haven't managed to get a top. Rowan on 14.9 points, just half of Lauren's score of 29. And then quite close for the other climbers. We got Ariana on 13.7. Caitlin on 13.7. Ariana on 9.3. And then Tegan, Cara, and Shanique on 4.9, and Jade with no zones, no tops. Okay, next climber coming out. Final climb for Ariana. Give her a round of applause. Cape Town representing today.
Yeah, big moment for Ariana. She's had a decent round so far, sitting fourth. A top would put her, I think, ahead of Lauren at the moment, with obviously Lauren still to climb this. So, yeah, let's see what she can do. She is very strong, very powerful. Going for that double clutch move immediately. It's only been Caitlin, I believe, so far who's stuck that. So, let's see what she can do.
Ariana being one of the taller climbers. Really got to stretch out on your left foot and keep your left hip close to the wall there and make sure your right foot doesn't swing around, pull you off the wall. And let's see if she manages to stick it. You can see that right foot just pulling her back and the momentum from the right foot, making that right hand really hard to hold. It's not a great hold. You got to be really squeezing your chest muscles, engaging your biceps and squeezing those holds together. And they're quite close together already, which makes it really hard to compress. A wider hold, two wider holds, but easier to compress than such a narrow set of holds. But at least she is reaching it and holding her body for a second, you know. I don't know if she'll try maybe swapping the feet around to make that move a bit more possible. It seems all the climbers, oh my goodness, super good climbing there from Ariana, managing to keep it together and using her length to do the beta that Carl predicted here, which is, ooh, keeping her length, using her right toe on the start hold to make that paddle a little bit easier, a little more static. And with still a lot of time on the clock, 2 minutes, 20 seconds, I wonder if we'll see her getting to the 10 and possibly to the top on this boulder. A top on this boulder will put her in the lead ahead of anyone else.
Yeah, great attempt from Ariana there. Great to be vindicated a bit on my beta prediction. I think that she has got the right idea. I think that it was really close. Needed to get her left hand maybe a bit more higher on the high zone and engage it more, but looking really positive. I think, yeah, bouncing up that left hand does make that dynamic move that she fell on a lot easier. Sticks this move to the low zone, gets the bounce up. Come on, Ariana. Gets the high right foot. I was thinking a heel maybe for this move, but it looks like she goes straight for it with a bit of a pogo. Gets the momentum nicely, but wow, still really tough to be able to latch that move. I can mention also this final move. I went through a bit of a sort of beta prediction, and it's a cool sort of dyno with a left foot. You see like a volume below the high zone that they need to catch with their toe as they go up for the final move. So quite an exciting move. They've got a little bit of a crimp there just above the high zone, and then they're going to just do a big jump, grab the top, the 25 points with their right hand, while simultaneously toe hooking the bottom of that volume with their left foot. So that's a really cool move that I'm hoping we'll be able to see from one of the athletes if they make it up there.
Yeah, you can see the tiredness coming through. Yeah, she's been climbing 4 minutes for each of the other boulders, 12 minutes of intense physical activity, and they really got to be elite athletes to be able to handle the intensity. Ariana sticking with the pogo beta and just not getting high enough in the shoulders. If you're sagging down in your shoulders and your scapulars are winging out and your shoulders are by your ears, it's really hard to generate the power from that position. If your shoulders and your hips are a little bit higher, your sense of gravity is a little bit higher, makes that a bit easier to hold. And I think the original beta that she had with the far right toe just allowed her to get her body a bit higher, but she's decided she likes the pogo. Sticking with that beta, 10 seconds left on the clock. I don't think she's going to give another go. She doesn't. Really awesome climbing there from Ariana. Just not managing to hold the 10, but puts her in a good position for going into the lead. Okay, amazing climbing there from Ariana. Next up, our second last climber. We got Lauren coming through, women's number 4.
Yeah, great climbing from Ariana. I would have liked to maybe seen her take some longer rest, but figuring out the beta and just not having the energy at the end, but really superb effort from her. Huge moment in the finals now with Lauren coming out to this boulder. She can sew it up now with the top, and yeah, essentially a top will winner the boulder round. And she is very powerful. She's been climbing really strong so far. Let's see if she reads the beta right and gets the top. Goes straight away for the double clutch. I suspect she will send it this way. You know, she's a shorter climber. She's got really strong shoulders. It's obviously hard to get it right away. It's such a dynamic move. But yeah, really excited to see how she does on the sort of next dynamic move to the high zone.
Yeah, this is a chance for Lauren to really secure a good result here and dominate in the bouldering. She's already looking, as she popped off that first time, there was a bit of surprise on her face. Don't know if it's a, can I do this look? Or, oh my goodness, this is doable look. But she's got to keep that momentum, and as a shorter climber, her body is really pulling her off. Let's see what she does here. Just struggling to bring that left hand in. Also, I think the skin becoming a little bit of a factor after 3 climbs. These holds are nice and new, nicely textured, and skin does become a factor. You know, the ability to pull and hold and squeeze through the pain. Also, something that climbers have to deal with. I've seen climbers at the gym bleeding through their fingertips, just wanting to give that climb one more go. Lauren trying the static beta that we really were hoping to see here. And that hold, not enough just with the feet, the right foot low, but if she bumps the right foot high and smears on the volume, that'll be really good. Not the volume, the wall.
Yeah, as you mentioned there, Alice, the skin definitely is a factor, especially in such a difficult boulder round where the athletes have taken so many attempts on all the boulders. It obviously then just makes a huge difference when you get a top or you know, a climb where you don't have to give so many attempts. But all the climbs so far, especially women's 1, looking at just the right here of women's 4, was very skin intensive. You're going to come off a lot where, you know, your skin is scraping on the friction parts of the hold. So it definitely could play a factor. But Lauren struggling more than I thought she would on this move. She needs to keep that left foot planted as she goes for it, like we saw Ariana, or swap the feet as she moves and make sure her right foot is on. But it looks like her feet are coming off, and she's having to hold both those holds just with her arms, which is very difficult. 1 minute left to go. This could be the moment for Round to capitalize with Lauren maybe not doing as well as she'd hoped on this boulder. Looking at her skin, yeah, it definitely could be an issue. I think women's 1 definitely took a lot out of the athletes really early on. Luckily, Lauren was able to send women's 2 fairly quickly, but I think you know, the whole toll from the qualifiers on Thursday and the heat today could really make these boulders as hard as they're looking like they are.
Yeah, I'm just trying to send positive vibes to these climbers, let them know that even though everything is so intense, their skin is hurting, their muscles are aching. Pretty soon it'll be over and they'll want to have left everything on the wall. 10 seconds left for Lauren. She's just showing the official the skin there, making sure that she's not putting too much blood on the wall. Obviously, that'll be an issue. And out of time there. We're getting ready. Our final climber coming out for our final boulder. And then in a little while, we'll be on to the lead. We'll be here with you for that as well. Our final climber coming out for the final female bouldering. Rowan coming on to women's number 4. Good luck.
Yeah, massive moment here for Rowan. She has got the opportunity now to win the boulder round with a top here. Let me give you some mathematics and breakdown here going into this last climb. 29 points for Lauren, and Rowan currently sitting on 14.9 with 25 points if she flashes this, minus any attempts. So even a top with a couple attempts burned will put her in the number 1 spot, given that she got the high zone on women's 3. However, just getting a high zone on this climb, which would be really impressive, would not put her into first position with only 10 points available for that. That would put her to somewhere in the region of 24, 23, depending on attempts. So yeah, huge moment for round. She needs a top here to win the boulder round for the ladies. She's going for the static beta that I predicted. Getting that palm needs to change to the right hand, but is not able to do that. Yeah, really needs to decide now between whether going for the double clutch or going the static way. I think we've only really seen the static way being stuck. That was by Caitlin and Ariana. Ariana seemed to stick it quite consistently after she worked it out. But man, I would really love to see Rowan on the next moves of this climb. I know she is capable. And after a tough boulder round where, like we've mentioned, skin is going to be running low, it's really hot out there today. Can she pull it together for what would be an incredible boulder round win? Come on, Rowan.
Rowan managing to stick the right-hand switch, going into that with upside down, pressing with the thumb to keep her body stable. Little bit of a jump, and she's going feet first through here, really making that hold above the bonus super good. Matches it up, and she's going to be getting 10 points there. Rowan going to be setting up for this big dynamic move. Has she seen the left toe catch? Is she going to be able to do it a little more in control? Oh, Rowan. The crowd is going wild. Carl is biting through his fingernails next to me. We all want to see this top. We've been waiting for tops on these boulders. This will only be the second top if she can make it. You can see the overhanging angle of the wall there. Her left foot dangling. Let's see if she can put it somewhere. She knows where she is. She knows she's got to take a moment, catch her breath, pull herself towards herself. If there was ever a time to pull it out of the bag and make the magic happen, this is it. Round struggling to figure out what to do there. She needs to get both hands on that top hold. She's still got 1:30 on the clock. She knows. You can see how tired she is from that effort, panting. That was an incredible amount of climbing there from Rowan. Getting that 10 points is really going to put her, 9 point whatever, is really going to put her in a good position going later on into the lead. Even if she doesn't get the top, she's got a chance to rally in the lead and pull ahead of Lauren. Lauren will only be 5 points ahead in that situation, you know, which is 1 or 2 moves on the lead wall. And Rowan definitely capable of doing that. Obviously, Lauren putting in an amazing performance on the lead and hoping that she'll be the one to go to the Olympics. Rowan hoping she'll be the one to go to the Olympics. 45 seconds left on the clock. Rowan sticks that move. Is this going to be enough? She's still moving. She hasn't fallen yet. She swings the high feet. She gets the hands up. Every small little movement here takes her 1 step closer to getting to the top.
Incredible effort. My hands are sweating so much. Rowan needs to commit to the static move. And she's going to go. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe it. Incredible effort from Rowan. She won't have another go in her, but wow. Can we talk about that beta from low zone to high zone? Unbelievable. Foot first. Something that I'd never predicted, but it's something that a move that like I've used before in competitions, even in Salt Lake last year. But incredible to find that out, but not able to stick the final move. That puts her up to 24.7 points, so really close to Lauren, with the only person to find the high zone on women's 4 and women's 3. So she's definitely given her an opportunity, herself a chance going into the lead final. It's going to be extremely close between Lauren and Rowan, but wow. An amazing boulder round, really tough boulder round, and we have it set up perfectly for the lead with only 5 points separating the top 2 ladies.
Yeah, shout out to the top 2 climbers there. Lauren in first place, 29 points. Rowan in second place, 24.7. Then quite a big step down, pretty much 10 points to third place, Ariana. So we're really looking at a competition between our top 2 ranked climbers. And that is the end of the bouldering. We've had a nail-biting round, only 1 top from Lauren. Sure, incredible climbing there. And definitely not what anyone expected. We had quite a few tops in the semis on Thursday. You can see just how stacked this boulder round was. The setters getting ready to do some stripping. They've got the men's coming on later. And these guys are some of the hardest workers you'll ever see at a climbing competition. They create the challenges that these climbers have to solve. So if you see a local setter at your gym, give them a high five and say, I appreciate your work. Or for this next little bit, we're going to have a brief break while everyone gets ready for the lead. And we'll join you pretty shortly. We'll run through the lead. We'll chat through some beta. Carl, thanks for joining me in the commentary. I'm sure I'll see you a little bit later. And then we shall, yeah, see you shortly.
Thanks so much, Alistair. Dude, you were epic. Fun, dude. Yeah, that was really cool. Keen to join for the lead as well. Yeah.
Through the route in a little bit. We're just waiting for the tech team to cut to that. In the meantime, let me tell you about how hot it is here, guys. I'm literally inside the bath of my own sweat. It's on paper is about 33 degrees.
Feels like hotter.
Feels like hotter. 33 in the shade, probably close to 40 if you're standing in the sun. There we go. You can see the wall.
The ladies, I must say, are lucky that the wall is at least in the shade now, but it's still going to be very, very hot. And I haven't seen too much liquid chalk out there, which I'm quite surprised about because I think I'd be dousing myself in it.
Yeah, the chalk is especially important on the lead where you're doing move after move. Each move to a new hold pulls that chalk off of your skin, makes space for the sweat to come through. And if you've got sweaty fingers at that crucial moment, could be the difference between slipping off and sticking it.
Definitely. We've also got a lot of dual text holds at the bottom of this route, which I think are also going to be a bit tricky with this heat.
Okay, Ange, it's a little hard to see the wall in the shade there. Let's see if we can run people through the routes. I've also got a topo here with the hold numbers for you.
Perfect. So the route starts on a very big volume. It's got a nice big jug pocket at the start. So it is quite an easy beginning, just getting the climbers into the route. So quite easy climbing up through the pink section or fairly big jugs. Then the climbers move left onto the first blue dual text semicircle, and from there they go up to a crimp followed by another big dual text hold. Then they've got to move slightly over towards that first 10-point mark. From that point onwards, the climbers will be awarded more points per hold, which Alistair will explain to you guys, for those of you that are new to climbing, in a minute. From there, they move on to some more slopey big pinches. Those go up to the right-hand side. From there, the ladies are going to need to come onto a crimp onto that second black big triangular shaped volume. I don't know if triangular is the right word. From there, they're going to start moving through into the hold 30. They're going to need to be crossing into hold 30. From there on, the wall is going to start to get a little bit less steep once they've moved through 30 onto the next big orange hold. From there on, they're going to need to go slightly more to the left again and move onto the face of the wall and onto those little blue crimps. From there on, the route setters have told me it just gets harder and harder. The route setters are expecting some athletes to start falling from around the 30 hold. That is their baseline point for this route. From there onwards, they're going to be going through the blue moves up to hold 60. And then once again, it gets much more difficult. They've got a compression move to the right onto a big red hold. They are then going to have to make their way and move their feet across far right to get themselves onto that big hexagonal purple volume and into that next compression big red hold. These holds are not the greatest, so it's going to be quite the compression burly move for the ladies. From here, they've got two more big burly moves upwards, finally with one more crimp on the top face of the wall before they hit that final hold. And from here, it looks like it's very dual texture with a bit of texture on the top, so the ladies are going to have to be very precise when they hit that finish hold.
Yeah, they're going to have to reach up on the top of that hold, no being able to press on the bottom. The wall is steep enough that if you're not holding in the good part, you're going to be off.
Definitely, and I think their feet are going to be a little tricky as well because they're going to probably have to have those feet on those big lower red holds just below. So they will need to hit with quite precision and be pushing a lot of weight through those feet.
So it's hard for you guys to see there sitting at home on the screen, but the last of those big red holds has a tiny jib on the lower left-hand side that the climbers can use for their feet. And what's also interesting for me to see is that the route setters added in an extra quick draw. So for the guys that were climbing yesterday, the quick draw around about the 60 hold mark was their last quick draw before going to the top. And now for the ladies, they got an extra draw in there, so they're going to have to hang around in that spot to make that clip. And looks like some really small, slopey dual text feet. And let me give you a quick update on what's happening with these climbers. They've been scoping out the wall. They're looking at some beta, trying to figure out what they're going to be doing when and where. And they've got about 10 seconds left. I'm going to hop over to the other mic and do some quick announcing. Okay, we got 10 seconds left. 2 seconds left on the clock. the viewing time for the ladies is over, and they're going to go back behind the wall. They're going to be waiting there in the isolation transit area, and we're going to have our first climber out in a little while. If you are a route setter, might be a good time to pull that rope through, and we'll have some climbing happening real soon. Oh, I love my job. I tell people what to do and things happen. On the screen here, we can see some of the route setters, KP, Maddie G, Tristan, and Jan. These are the guys that have created this monstrosity, this huge problem that these girls are going to have to figure out.
And I think big credits to the route setters. It has been so incredibly hot here for the last several days. Even when they were setting, the mats have been stinking hot, and their soles of their shoes have been burning. So they've really committed to making this happen for us. So we are very grateful for them and the team and all their hard work. And we are excited to watch the ladies on this one and for the men's routes later on today.
Yeah, these route setters have been working through the week. They started on Sunday. Today is Saturday. They've had day on, day on, day on, day on, day on. No rest days when you're a route setter and this is your job. Okay, the rope has been pulled. The routes are prepped. Haven't seen if the climbers are ready yet, but the second they are, we'll let you know. And in a short moment, I'll have Colrin joining me again for the technical commentating. Angela, if things get crazy and we have to cut you off real quick, big thank you for joining us. And maybe you can shed a little bit of insight into what it's like climbing on the world stage. These ladies that are climbing now are all hoping to go to the Olympics. You've been there, done that, got the tattoo.
Not the tattoo.
You didn't get the Olympic tattoo?
No, definitely not. Although I've had most people tell me I should.
I think you should as well. Seems like a bit of a tradition if you go to the Olympics to get the tattoo.
Yeah, but it's such an exciting day for them. It's an amazing feeling to be competing on such a stage, but also winning the Africa Cup is incredible. There's nothing quite like it. So I'm so excited to see who's going to be winning this one and who's going to get to go and compete. The new format is also very exciting with speed being separate. So we actually have speed climbers going as well as a representative for lead and boulder, which I think is very exciting because that first year's format of leads, boulder and speed, I'm jumbling over my words, is quite intense, and it's a very long day for the athletes. So it's so exciting. Yeah. Can't wait to see who takes it. It's going to be a very close lead round. Lauren McCuba and Rowan Krohn are very close in points. They are currently leading the way. Lauren is currently in first with 29 points after the boulder round. It was a very tough round. We only saw one top in the boulder round, and that went to Lauren on boulder number 2. And then Rowan is just behind her. She's got 24.7 points. She didn't get any tops on the boulder round, but managed to catch up in points a little bit on boulder number 3 and 4, getting the furthest of all the ladies on those two problems. So very exciting. We'll see what happens. And I'm going to hand over to Carl. Thanks so much, Alistair, for having me. And I will be back hopefully for the men's a bit later.
Okay. Unfortunately, Colrin isn't quite here yet. He's probably grabbing a cheeky coffee. And you get to listen to my sweet voice. Give me a second. Okay, coming out for the first of the lead climbers, Jade Vocht, all the way from South Africa.
Hello everyone from wherever you are in the world joining us. I'm back in the commentary box for the lead. We're watching Jade on the lead route. I was down there just now looking closely at all the holds. I can say really interestingly, the first section of this climb looks very easy up to hold 10 in my opinion, and I think we'll see the first kind of falls perhaps between the 10-point hold and the 30-point hold, which puts into perspective a lot of the weighting between the lead scoring and the boulder scoring for all of those of you out there that are unfamiliar with the scoring, is 100 points available for lead, 100 points available for bouldering, and the way you get the maximum points for lead is to top the route, and the way you get maximum points for bouldering is to flash all 4 boulders. So we saw a very difficult bouldering round earlier on today. The maximum points was 29 by a performance from Lauren McIver. But you see here, Jade already up to 10 points on the lead climb, and the 30 points marker just a few holds ahead, which would be the highest scoring, well, a higher score than the highest score we saw on the boulder round. So really interesting. Looks like the lead is going to be extremely important because of the difficulty of the boulder round, and we see Jade starting to make her way through the first difficult section of the climb. I suspect a difficult move here, sort of matching this volume where her right hand is and moving over to what is a good hold on the volume towards her right, but matching this volume. And obviously, as you can see, getting the clip is quite tricky. Let's see if she can do this move. It'll be a bit dynamic. She's going to have to cut her left foot off, holds it very well. Like I said, that right hand is really good, but yeah, really had to commit to that move, which she did. The next hold is a good one, and so is hold 30, so it gets a little bit of a break with these next few moves before moving into a tricky sort of match section on the last volume in the steep section. We'll definitely look to get the clip done on the 30-point hold.
Yeah, you can see some nice dynamic movement coming through there. Jade's cruising through past the 30 hold into this section. Good hold there at the top of the overhanging section, and she's taking a moment. Hasn't clipped the draw yet, but maybe going to swing the feet and get a little more stable, take some weight off the hands, and that allows her to clip the draw. Almost pops off there. You can see the heat really making a bit of a difference. Climbers are going to be chalking up a lot, and Jade falls just after clipping the draw there. Heartbreak hotel moment. She knows that she was feeling pretty good and probably could have gotten a bit higher if she'd maybe gotten into a better clipping position there.
Yeah, very interesting. As I mentioned that the clip needed to be done on hold 30, looks like she moved straight past that into the volume. It might just be that she wasn't able to reach the clip from hold 30. But yeah, you can see the struggle that happens once she gets onto that volume and tries to make the clip. It's a difficult hold. Looks a little bit better when I saw her on it now than when I viewed it from the bottom. But so I suspect a lot of athletes will be able to get that clip done from that last hold on the steep section. But yeah, good effort from Jade. Got through the sort of low difficult section that I predicted. Got past the 30 hold mark. And again, like I said, that's higher than the highest score that we saw on the bouldering now. So it really will come down to how well these athletes perform in the lead. There's really big points on offer. And yeah, looking forward to the next athlete.
Awesome climbing from Jade Wacht. Our next climber coming out onto the mat from Pretoria, as mentioned previously. We've got Caitlin Bauer.
Yeah, Caitlin with a great performance in Boulder earlier on. I think she finished 4th, and yeah, managing to get the low zone on Boulder 4 and on Boulder 3. So those were 2 zones that were not gotten by a lot of the other athletes. So great job from her, looking to continue on with the lead. And yeah, we'll see how she gets through these first few moves, which, like I said, is quite easy. We saw a similar sort of style of climb with the men's qualifiers yesterday, as well as the women's, actually. No real tricks in the beginning, which is, yeah, a bit different. Usually some overseas IFSC comps have some tricky moves, maybe like a mantle or a dyno in the beginning, just to get the pump of the athletes flowing, get you know, their heart racing a bit. But yeah, I shouldn't, yeah, I don't predict any trouble from any of the athletes in this first section up to hold 10.
Yeah, let's take a moment. You can see 2 of our sponsors there, Form, SCAF, and Sports Unplugged. Climbing being quite a young, growing sport in South Africa, we don't have the big funding of popular sports like rugby or cricket or swimming or netball or hockey. And we're hoping that'll change. If you're interested in being a sponsor for sport climbing in South Africa, we would need it. Nice movement there from Caitlin, getting a cheeky knee bar with her left. Just taking a bit of weight off the hands there, getting nice and stable. And now she's heading into this steeper section of the route, the wall having 3 angles. The first part not so steep, the middle part that she's heading into now with these big red and black holds, really steep. And then it gets a little less steep on the head wall higher up.
Yeah, great job from Caitlin. I've actually just noticed the strapping on her shoulder. Looks like quite a few of our female athletes carrying some injuries into this, but seems to be climbing really well through this very powerful shouldery section regardless. And yeah, now coming up to the first move, like I've mentioned, this sort of match and a bit of a committing move over to a good right hand. Let's see how she handles it. Oh, does it statically. Phenomenal work. Keeps the left heel on. Looks really comfortable. And now, yeah, a couple easy moves until she reaches the point where Jade fell.
Caitlin, you can see her just hesitating for a second, lining up for the big dynamic move, trying to consider the static, and then committing to the big move, which is really what needs to happen for these climbers. Matching and crossing, reaching through with the right hand. And let's see if she makes the clip from this one. She manages to get a bit of chalk there, matches it up and pulls through to that same hold we saw Jade fall off of. This is hold number 27. Caitlin currently tied for the highest score on the lead route so far. She looks like she's struggling to get into a good position to clip there. Maybe we'll see her go a little bit higher and clip from above with a better, more stable foot there, which has really got to do a big move here. And you can see just a little bit of hesitation, and she falls off there. Just not getting any further than anyone else and not clipping the draw, but that's not the end of the world. Doesn't matter how high, as long as you don't skip any of the quick draws.
Yeah, it just looks like a bit of endurance, a bit of pump that came in there and led to that fall. Interestingly, I'll just let Alistair announce the next climber, but seems like the moves are fairly straightforward, but the athlete's just getting pumped out as they get past hold 30.
Okay, amazing climbing there from Caitlin Bauer. Okay, amazing climbing there from Caitlin Bauer. We've had 2 climbers down. We've got 6 climbers to go. The next climber coming out will be Shanique Reinhardt. And for those of you that are in the crowd, I know it's hot. You got to warm up your lungs. You got to warm up your voices. Got to do some cheering. That's how these things work.
Yeah, I just want to speak a bit about the moves before hold 30 there, where you see the athletes coming off. I predicted originally that it was going to be a tricky move outright, going from the sort of third big red hold, but it seems like Caitlin there struggled with the next move after that, which I said would be, what I thought would be a bit easier. What I think I didn't account for was the steepness of the sort of extra black volume that next hold gives to that move. So the holds are big and they're in cut, but you could see how Caitlin had to really commit with her move up to her left hand to the hold before the hold 30, and managed to stick it, of course, because it is a bit in cut. That holds good, and then also with that big crossover to 30, looked like it wasn't a giveaway either. So it does get a bit tricky, and it obviously pumps the athletes out enough that they're falling quite shortly after hold 30.
Okay, we got 6 minutes on the clock for Nikki from Mpumalanga. Good luck. Yeah, Carl, this first section looking really easy, but don't underestimate how sapping it is, just climbing up, doing those moves, getting the muscles warm, getting the fingers warm. Even though it's easy climbing, it still takes its toll on the body. And as soon as you enter that extreme overhanging section, those big red holds, you can see the climbers spending a lot of time on their hands and their arms. And that just drains you super quick. As you know, you're feeling super good. 2 moves later, you're pumped out of your mind and you're wondering, am I going to fall off right now? Can I even do the next move? Can I hang on long enough to clip this quick draw? And the mental aspect of hanging on with one hand that's slowly slipping off while trying to clip a draw, all of that slack in your hand, you're up on the wall, you're far from the ground, you know, it's climbing, it's not ping pong.
Exactly. I would say 100%. I couldn't agree with you more. I had first-hand experience with that yesterday. With like I said, what was quite an easy first section of the men's climb, and just as you mentioned, it really hits you super quickly. I was feeling quite good heading into the steep section, but as soon as you start pulling on that steeper section, all the moves you've done previously catches up to you, and suddenly you're pumped and you're looking for a rest spot. So yeah, it's important to do this bottom section really smoothly, to not hesitate too much, to do it quickly, and to make sure that you give yourself the best chance when you do head into the steep section and the head wall.
So for those of you that have no idea what's happening, you tuned in because your friend sent you a link. We are in Pretoria, South Africa, Tshwane, the city of Tshwane. And this is one of our capital cities. We've got an event going on called Sport Climbing. And this is the lead portion of the lead and boulder. We already had the bouldering, it happened a little bit earlier. You can watch that at your leisure. These climbers are hoping to get as high up the wall as they can. They've got 6 minutes. Currently on the wall is Shanique Reinhardt from South Africa. She's got 3 minutes and 50 seconds left, using her toes, her hands, her feet to get as high up the wall as she can. And these climbers are an unfortunate fall there from Nikki, just showing you how intense this climbing is. Our two previous climbers, Jade and Katie, making it a little bit higher. We'll get prepped for our next climber in a few seconds. Nikki just getting untied by the B layer there. She won't be super chuffed with that performance, but just gives you an idea of how intense this climbing is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause for Nikki. Next out, coming out to represent South Africa from the city of Cape Town, Cara Pepler. So for those of you watching, these climbers have got a few seconds, 40 seconds to have a look at the wall before they got to be climbing, and then their 6-minute climbing time begins. Okay, we're back on the live feed.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate from Shanique. I'm sure she would have been hoping for better than that. You could see that she was struggling a bit lower down, and like we mentioned, you have to conserve your energy in this easier first section. And I think it paid off. Well, it caught up to her as soon as she hit the steep section, but still great effort, great to see her compete. And now we're going to go over to Cara. Just for everyone's information, the athletes are coming out in reverse order of their boulder round scores. So we're going to see, the athletes pretty much go from the weakest to strongest in terms of their bouldering performance. And yeah, all these athletes coming out really early are going to have really big lead round performances in order to have a shot at that Olympic spot. Fortunately, because the lead round was a very difficult score, they've got an opportunity. Sorry, the boulder round was a difficult round. They've got an opportunity here on lead with a lot of points up for grabs.
So here we got Cara using a heel, taking a bit of time to figure out this section. It is a bit intimidating. You don't want to fall off here and make a silly mistake that'll cost you. And when you know the moves are easy, it's a little bit easier to go slow and go steady. And sometimes what you need to do is throw caution to the wind and climb like Sean McCall, racing up the wall, committing to the moves, moving quick, moving confidently. And it's a little bit of a double-edged sword having easier climbing lower down, because it allows you to spend time there and be comfortable there. And it's always hard to leave a place where you're comfortable for a place that you're uncomfortable. And luckily for these climbers, the transition as the climb goes higher up the wall isn't too extreme. But this is, the wall kicks back here and it does get a bit hard. You can see a bit of a dynamic move. Really got to engage the muscles and catch the body and hold the body in place. Cara with a really nice left heel hook there, holding her body into the wall. That draw hanging behind her, that quick draw sponsored by Petzl. And she reaches back a little bit there.
Yeah, I really like this section with the heels and the open hand volumes. It definitely is very sapping on the athletes to be able to, we'll have to get these clips on the steep section. Here we're going to see this move. She does take her left foot off to make this move to the right more controlled. Great effort from her. Now we're going to see the move that Caitlin struggled with a bit. Quite committing. Big move from her. Well done. Makes the full commit. Latches the left hand. Gets a bit of a shake. Like I mentioned, this hold is good, but there is sort of this very powerful cross through to hold 30. Let's see if she's able to do that. She seems to be struggling a little bit, trying to get her right foot on the hold where her hand was, and gets the cross through. Great move. Is she going to be able to get this clip? I think this was me being a very tall climber thinking that this clip was possible for the female athletes. I think she's going to move on to the next hole to try and get the clip. Makes it through. This is where we've seen all the previous athletes pump out. Is she going to be able to get the clip or to move into a better position to get the clip? We've seen, comes off at the same place as Caitlin. And yeah,
Cara,
yeah.
Really moving super delicately, but this is a place that requires a bit of that bold, dynamic, pumpy climbing, punchy. You got to move like you mean it and create that momentum from where you are to get you to where you need to be. Let me get the next climber prepped and ready. Awesome climbing there, Cara Pepler from South Africa, from the Western Cape. Give her a round of applause, everybody. Ready and waiting for you behind the walls. We've got our 5th climber out on the lead wall for the day. It's going to be Tegan Oates. Get ready, folks. She's ready. I hope you're ready. We're ready. Oh, yeah. Multitasking is my middle name. Alistair Multitasking Fenton. Find me on YouTube. So, Carl, we had Angela Eckhart here a little bit earlier, just giving us a run through the route from the ladies' perspective. How do you think the climbers are feeling, sitting in the isolation there? They've heard what's happening. They've heard me announcing the climbers, and they know it's getting closer and closer. Our 2 climbers that are really in the run for the money are Lauren and Rowan. So give us a brief thought into their brain process.
Yeah, I think you're really nervous. It's impossible as an athlete going into a lead round, knowing that you're in it, knowing that the Olympic spot is up for grabs, to not feel nervous and not get the mathematics out and know like where you need to finish, in opposed to the person that's closest to you. But I think what they should be focusing on is just themselves, just the climb, going through the moves and doing the best they can. Obviously, it's easier said than done. I'm sure the nerves will be through the roof, I think. With the expectation, I think, that Rowan was the favorite coming in, and with Lauren performing extremely well on the boulder, she must be quite nervous, knowing that with a good performance in lead, she could go through. And Rowan, conversely, feeling, I'm sure, a lot of pressure, wanting to perform well in the lead. But as far as we've seen, there's no tricks. It seems to be a straightforward endurance test. So if Rowan has got the endurance preparation, she should be okay. But it'll see. We haven't seen too much of Lauren, like we mentioned, climbing in South Africa. She could come up with a huge performance here.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing for the climbers that are spending time overseas climbing. We lose touch with them here in South Africa. We don't know. We obviously see them on Instagram, and we know that they're training hard and getting as ready as they can. But it's only in the moments when they're on the wall that we get to see where they're at. And Lauren really put in an amazing bouldering round. And on all of the boulders, she seemed to be doing the best. We only had 1 top. That was on problem number 2. But on problem 1, problem 3, problem 4, she did really well as well. Tegan going with some slightly different beta here. She might have to drop back down to do the cross or match higher up. And let's see, she's one of the longer climbers. Maybe she finds us a good place to clip from. She won't have known how pumpy that next hold is and how much everyone has struggled to clip from there. Stretching her foot out in front of her and pulling her body into the wall, using her height to her advantage here. Is she going to clip from? Yeah. Is she going to commit for the next move? She commits for the next move and falls there. Nice gentle catch from the B layers, bringing her down to the ground. And really seeing no climbers getting past this point so far. Awesome climbing there from Tegan Oates. Give her a round of applause, everybody. For those of you that have just arrived, welcome. This is the IFSC Africa Continental Championship. We've got lead climbing happening at the moment. The sun is out. Make sure you're wearing a hat. Make sure you're wearing some sunblock. Make sure you're hydrated. There are medical personnel around if you're feeling faint, but enjoy the show. Our next climber coming out onto the wall, our third last climber, we got Ariana Yanata Burns.
Yeah, looking forward to see Ariana's burn. Obviously, third place in the boulders. Definitely still has a chance with how many points are for grabs here with the lead climb. I also want to speak about the beta around hold 30. You could see Teagues completely using different beta, missing out the move going out right, and that sort of negated that tough-looking left-hand move up to the hold before hold 30. But then sort of got a bit mixed up in matching hold 30. So with the right hand going to the hold before hold 30 and left hand going into hold 30, it seemed like it might have used a bit more energy. And yeah, a bit worried about my route reading prediction, thinking that you could clip from there, and even Tegan, who's very tall, wasn't able to. So I think athletes are just going to have to go to the next hold, which we see is they're all falling on in order to get that clip and to move on with the climb.
Yeah, and that mental aspect makes it a little harder to commit. Can see some of them looking down saying, whoop, I'm far from the ground. Do I want to commit to this move? And in comp climbing, you got to put that out of your mind. The belayers are well trained. They really make sure that the climbers don't come anywhere close to hurting themselves. The wall is nice and steep, so any climber that's falling off is falling into the air, into space. And Ariana getting the knee bar that we've seen some of the other climbers get there. This lead climbing exercise, a lot of it is about saving energy and not making any mistakes. Can see her fumbling with a quick draw there for a little bit, spending a bit more time, a few more seconds hanging there than she needs to, and having a smooth flow, not making any mistakes, really makes a big difference high up when you're hanging on small holds and you're feeling a little pumped. Can see that high left heel hook, keeping her body in the wall, opposing the force of her right hand. You can see 2 fumbling clips in a row. Hopefully the rest of the draws, which are a bit shorter, will be a bit easier for her. Those long draws, especially when you're in a stressed mind state or a little bit pumped, can be really tricky to climb. Takes a second to get some blood back into that right form and reaches across. She's in the 30. She's got to get her feet a bit higher into that next hold. We haven't seen any climbers get past this hold yet. And with her score from the bouldering, this currently puts her into first place. She does fall off of that. And if you haven't been tracking the scores on the IFSC system, I'll give you a quick update of where we're looking. Got to wait for the judges to upload that. Nothing coming through yet. She's on 14 points still on the system. Currently in first place, 49 points. We've got Caitlin, Tegan on 41, Cara on 41 as well. Those two are tied. We've got Jade Vocht on 33. And then still to climb in the lead, we've got Lauren McIver, we've got Rowan Crone, we've got... That's it. Not many more climbers left. Let me do the announcing. Amazing climbing there. We got our next climber coming on out. We got Lauren McIver.
Yeah, unfortunate for Ariana there. She's more of a boulderer, but I think she put a great effort. I think a lot of people are coming off there. But now we get to the real business, and this is where the Olympic ticket comes down to. Can Lauren put in a huge performance? Can she get past that hold after hold 30 where all the athletes, all the other athletes seem to be coming off? It is really all or nothing. It's her and Brown left to go. And wow, I'm really excited.
Yep, this is the make or break moment for Lauren. She's in the lead. She doesn't really know what the scores are. I'm sure the ladies were chatting back in the holding area. She's probably got a good idea of who's done what and what her points are looking like. She knows she's just got to maintain it and get higher than anyone else on the wall. She's a former African champion. She's competed in many different climbing competitions over her career as a climber. And she's, yeah, got the head start on Rowan. Let's see if she can keep it.
Yeah, she would know that because there's only 5 points separating her and Round, that only a top could guarantee her an Olympic spot. And with the fact that Round's won the lead on Thursday during the semi-final round. She's going to want to hope of nothing less than a top. We have seen this route split off the athletes quite early, so it does look like a tough climb. I think if she gets through the section after hold 30, that she's going to have a good opportunity. But like I said, it's only going to take a couple more moves further from Rowan in order to overtake Lauren. So really all to play for here in this final climb.
And what the route setters will be stressing about is the fact that so many of the climbers have dropped off on that 30 hold, just after that 30, that big slopey jug. And Lauren really got to do some good smooth climbing, save some energy. If she can get past that point, got a good chance. That point seems to be a bit of a stopper move, which the route setters try and avoid, but sometimes happens. And if you're climbing and you get to that stopper move and you get through it, it's often like going through a gate and you're in the next region, the next area, easier section of the climb, and that makes it easier to get quite a bit higher and quite a few more points. So I'm hoping the consistency of the climbing allows Lauren to climb on up and get some good points here.
Yeah, Lauren's definitely gone through this first section quite slowly and methodically. I think she's looking good, but starting to show a little bit of fatigue. Quite similar to other athletes. Looks like she's going for Tegan's beta. Oh, wow, but goes left hand straight. That's a new beta that we haven't seen. Now she's going to have to do this tricky cross hand right through to hold 30, but does that so strong. This is the business end, folks. Can she get through this section that we've seen so many other athletes fall off of? She just needs to shake it out, which we haven't seen a lot of other athletes do here. Seems to be quite comfortable. Needs to just match this, gets the splits, really good flexibility from her, and now gets that left foot on, big left move. Can she stick this? Manages to get the clip, which we haven't seen from any other athletes so far. Very great, very good from her. Can she get this move? It's huge. She sticks it. Massive, massive move from Lauren. She's really doing her best now for this Olympic spot. That's an incredible performance from her, showing her lead endurance. She's onto the blue holds. These holds are small, but she's fighting through, and she will get a bit of a rest at hold 60. I remember looking at these holds from the ground, and they are okay, and you have a little bit of sort of a respite with your feet on these holds that are on the volume. So she's going to take a break here, get the clip, and then see how she does for the final difficult head wall moves.
Yeah, Lauren really showing her climbing pedigree here. She was shaking out on that 30 hold, feeling comfortable, checks back at the clock. She knows she's got the time. She's, keeping it together really well and doing an incredible performance. The crowd going wild, really appreciating the fact that she's gotten through and into this next section. Can hear the support. Everyone's really cheering her on.
Yeah, taking her time here. This is great from Lauren. This next section is really tough. We had similar holds on the men's head wall yesterday. These are slopey holds, so they have good friction though. Very powerful. Gets through the next section. Now she's going to bump that right hand up, load the right toe, gets it, gets the left heel, I'd imagine. There it is. Looking for it, but no, rather goes for the foot swap with the big left hand bump. Amazing job from her. Now comes a really difficult section of the climb. She's going to have to get her feet out left and match that left climb, but you can see she's a bit pumped. She wants to shake, but she can't let go of that left hand. Oh, and then she comes off. Oh my goodness, great effort from Lauren. Really gave it the best she could and laid the gauntlet down for Rao, and I'm so excited to see this final climb.
Yeah, it's really coming down to the last climb. We've had amazing climb there from Lauren. Pretty much close to the top, but with enough space, enough moves for Round to come in and with the top take the lead there. Awesome climbing there from Lauren Makaiba. Guys, hold on to your hats. It's coming down to the final climb. We've got Rowan Crone from the Western Cape. She's at the back there, tied in, ready to come on out. Let's get a round of applause for Lauren and get ready for Rowan. So got the B layer just pulling the rope there. You can see a lot of people involved in making this happen. We've got the speed wall on the left-hand side of the lead wall. Speed climbing happened yesterday. Not yesterday, on Thursday. Where has the time gone? It's been a whirlwind.
Yeah, the crowd going crazy as Rowan comes in. This is a huge, huge moment. Really great performance from Lauren on this lead climb, but I can confirm that, you know, if Rowan does top this, she'll have enough points to make it to the Olympic spot. So really all down to how she performs on this lead climb. It's in her control right now, but she's going to have to come up with a massive performance. It looks like that move that Lauren came off of was really tough. So I suspect Rowan to get to that section, but whether or not she can get through, we'll have to see. It'll be a great performance from her.
Rowan off the ground, starting climbing. The clock is running. She's got 6 minutes to get from here to the top. Getting to the top gets her 100 points, and if she gets that 100 points, it'll be added onto her 24.7, and that'll give her 124, well ahead of Lauren, who's currently sitting on 109. And just to give you an idea of how important the role the route setters play, in the men's qualifiers, the men's semi-finals that we had yesterday, we had Chris Cossa on 199.9. And you can see just the stiffness of the climbing that we've got today. Our top ranked climber currently on 109. She only got 29 in the boulder. And just over, well, exactly 70 in the lead. And Rowan's got the possibility of getting 100 now. She's got to keep it together. Use her legs, use her hands, use her muscles, use her brain. And most of all, get to the top.
Yeah, it's really interesting with seeing the scores come through now. I think that only a couple holds further than Lauren would secure the win for round. Such is the value of these lead climbing points with how difficult the boulder round was earlier. Round finding the knee bar that everyone has found before, but struggling a bit with this clip on the first part of the steep section. Let's see how smoothly she goes through here. We saw Lauren do some very unique beta through here, bouncing up right hand, skipping the hold on the right. Yeah, let's see really big moments in the climb coming up early on here.
Yeah, Rowan's getting to that cruxy section that we've seen so many of the climbers fall. Only Lauren so far getting through that section. Got high hopes for Rowan, but anything is possible in competition climbing. Any move could spit the climbers off. Just unexpectedly a dry fire, getting the foot popping off, you know, all of those things make it possible. Rowan looking pretty comfy there, gets a bit of momentum to get her foot on. Straight through with the left, not messing around too much here. Feeling confident enough to clip, and clips with the right hand, same as we saw Lauren doing. And now we've got that big move. Let's see. She makes it, just makes it. And this really gets the crowd excited. They've been hoping to see someone come through here. She's feeling good, generating a bit of momentum from her body, pops that right hand up. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness.
Yeah, my heart's going at 100 miles an hour now. Rowan with that hard move stuck, looked very nervy, but she's onto a section now where she can rest. Can she lower her heart rate down and get through these final sections? This is crazy. This is for the Olympic spot. She's honestly about 5 or 6 moves away from getting it, but yeah, she needs to calm down and she needs to focus on these next few moves. Like I said, it does look really tricky, that move that Lauren came off now, but can she compose herself in this section and prepare herself? She goes straight into the next part of the climb.
Rowan clipping that second last quick draw, traversing out and to the right, going for that high right heel. This is the part where we saw Lauren really getting pumped, and we'll see how Rowan does here. From this point on, there's no resting. Rowan looking a little bit more in control, a little more confident. Gets that far right.
Can Rowan do it?
Wanted to see.
She's just got a big move out of the left hand. Is that going to be enough? No, it's not. Oh my word. I don't know. Oh my goodness. I don't know if that's going to be enough for her to take the Olympic spot. That's huge.
Sorry, we were talking over each other there. We're going to have to wait for the final results from the judges. If you were watching that, pull yourself towards yourself. The climbing is over. The last climber is finished. We're waiting, anxiously refreshing the results. And we'll tell you in a fraction of a second who made it through to the IFSC Olympic Games. Give us a second there, folks.
My hands are sweating.
We're sweating. We're waiting for the internet to refresh. We're waiting for the judges to enter the scores there. We can hear some excited cheering from lower down beneath us. We're in the commentary box. And let me not call it before we know for sure from the official results. from what I'm suspecting, Lauren Makaiba will be the one to make it through. Just waiting for the officials to add the results there. Incredible climbing from Rowan. Getting one move further. Is that one move going to be enough?
Yeah, who knows? It's. I mean, I think I'm with you in that. Lauren seems to have taken it. She certainly seems to think so. I can't believe it. What an incredible performance from both athletes. Huge lead climb from Lauren, and I think we can go over to Alistair to have the final results.
We've got the final results. The scores are out. 0.2 separating Lauren and Rowan. Lauren Makaiba, the next South African Olympic athlete.
Absolutely unreal. Congrats to Lauren, and huge effort from Rowan. I can't believe the scores I'm seeing in front of my eyes. 109.0 for Lauren Makaiba, 108.8 from Rowan Krohn. That is unbelievable. What an incredible final.
Such an incredible amount of climbing from both of these ladies. They really left everything on the wall, and sure, I'm super inspired. I can't wait for the men a little bit later.
Absolutely incredible. Just a stick from on that one hold where we're around one more hold, and she would have been through to the Olympics. That's how fine the margins are. Absolutely incredible. You can see the emotions there from Lauren. Amazing performance from her today, and yeah, just fantastic performance. Great.
Yep, a huge moment for us down here in South Africa. Climbing is growing, but if you've been a fan of it for a long time, this is really an important moment. We've had Anya Holder yesterday representing the ladies for South Africa in the speed, and today Lauren Makaiba. She's going to the Olympics. She's going to Paris. Is she going to get one of those tattoos? I wouldn't be surprised. Calvin Curtis, thanks for joining me in the commentary box.
Thank you so much, Alistair. Always a pleasure.
All right, folks, that was it. The IFSC Africa Continental Championship for women in the combined discipline of boulder and lead. We know who the African champion is. We've got the men coming up a little bit later. In the meantime, I'm going to go grab a coffee, grab some snacks. We'll be back in a couple of hours. Thanks for joining us. I am Alistair Fenton. This is the city of Tshwane, Pretoria. This is IFSC Africa.
Whoa, what a crazy final. 0.2.
Just say we're going to go. They're going to announce the winner.
So we're going to cut through now for an announcement. We're going to have a little bit of a thing going on here. Lauren and Rowan, two incredible climbers. IFSC jury president Werner, SA team coach Carmen. Everyone is getting prepped. We've got a little bit of officialness happening in the next little bits. The mic's making its way across to
1, 2, 3.
where it
Can
needs to be.
Turn the music down. Thank you very much. That was amazing, guys. That was amazing. I'd like our official jury president to announce the winner. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, George. So when I'm able to announce, it's Lauren. Lauren won with 0.2 in front. 0.2 in front of Rowan. Rowan got second, so you did a good job. 0.2 in front of Rowan. Rowan, please, you get second. And Caitlin Bauer, she got third. Congratulations to you. Please, can you stay in the correct row? The first in the middle. Yes, thank you. So this is the podium for today for the Olympic qualification for South Africa in 2023. I give back to George. African, sorry, for African Olympic qualification.
Thank you very much. That was amazing climbing, amazing route setting, and good luck. Lauren, it's been a journey for you, and it's exciting times. We will have to do some drug testing and all those things that we normally have to do. But a big thank to our sponsors for something like this, to build these walls and everything else, to the IFSC for trusting us to actually have an outdoor event. It's very, very special. But congratulations to everybody here, and thank you very much. We now will have a break, and then we're going to go into the men's final, which is also going to be awesome. Thank you very much, everybody.